Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. It's time for TWiT's annual audience survey, and we want to hear from you. Please visit twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. It only takes a few minutes, and your anonymous feedback will help us make TWiT even better. We thank you so much for your continued support. twit.tv/survey. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on my daughter Abby's 23rd birthday. Happy birthday, Abby. That's Sunday, March 22nd, 2015, for those of you not keeping track. Episode 1172. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at gazelle.com. And by Hipchat. Collaborate, save time, and be more productive with your teams. Hipchat is IM, video chat, plus file, code, and screen sharing all in one place. Invite your team members and get a free 30-day trial of the full version of Hipchat at hipchat.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and all that jazz at 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you should call via Skype, I guess, or some sort of VoIP solution. Still be toll-free. 8888-ASK Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. Here we are once again gathered together to talk about technology. And, of course, talk about technology these days, you often talk about hacking. Do you know what an ethical hacker is? Hacking is a long and a great tradition. It is not a bad thing necessarily. In fact, there have been all sorts of movements to rename hacking to attacking or cracking. But everybody knows what, hacking is. It could be good or bad. Bad guy hackers try to get into your stuff. We got the letter on Friday from Anthem. Not currently an Anthem health care subscriber, but many moons ago, my wife Lisa was. And as a result, I think it was 8 years ago, But I think the Anthem hack, which netted more than 80 million records, included people who hadn't been Anthem customers for years, like Lisa. So now she has to watch because her Social Security number is out there. We got to stop that practice. That's not what your Social Security number is supposed to be used for, as identity. In fact, it even says on the card, not to be used as identification. So what's the deal, Anthem? Anyway, they can, as many of you know, as Anthem customers, there's not much you could do about it. Just kind of watch your charge cards and your credit record and cross your fingers. There's a big event that takes place each year in Vancouver, Canada, called CanSec West, Canadian Security West. And each year, and it happened this week, they have an event called Pwn to Own. In hacker speak, pwning is kind of a joke version of owning, and owning means to take over. If I own your phone or own your computer, that means I the bad guy, have access to it and can do anything I want. At Pwn to Own, what they do, it's a great idea, is they put 4 or 5 laptops out running the latest but secured versions of Windows, Macintosh, Android, iOS, all the browsers, Safari and Chrome. And they let the security researchers, ethical hackers, go after them for cash and prizes. And if you own a laptop, you get to keep it. If you own a laptop. So there are teams that do this. They collect what we call exploits all year long. They don't publish them. They don't tell anybody, which means, frankly, I think that's kind of not so good. They kind of keep them to themselves. all year long. And then come pwn to own time, they hope to win big prizes. One guy, a Korean, a lone shark, because usually these are teams, security researcher named Jung-hoon Lee, his handle is Loki Heart, single-handedly owned Internet Explorer 11, the latest version, Google Chrome, the latest version on Windows, Apple Safari on OS X, and walked away with $225,000 in prize money and the new laptops, the Windows 8 and Macintosh laptops he gets to take home. Wow. The contest pits researchers against the latest 64-bit versions of the top 4 browsers on the top operating systems. $75,000 for the Chrome bug. It was the largest payout for a single exploit in the history of the competition. He got an extra $25,000 because he got a privilege escalation to root. Another $10,000 for killing the browser's beta version. A total of $110,000. All by himself. The only thing I understand the need for this and it's valuable, and certainly all the companies now pay bonuses, bounties they call them, to people who find flaws. And, it's virtually impossible to write software of this complexity without a flaw of some kind, although it seems we could probably do a lot better than we're doing. But it's old and, bugs sneak in, I guess. But I'm not sure I really appreciate the idea that you pay them so much money that they've spent all year discovering these and keeping them. Now they're released. Now we know. Now they'll be fixed. But they don't want them to be fixed before the event. So you've kind of incented people to find flaws and then just keep them to themselves. And you just hope that hackers don't find them before it's pwn to own. Adobe Reader and Flash Player attacked successfully by a French security firm. The hacker Nicolas Joly walked away with $90,000. You shouldn't get as much money for hacking them because that's easy. That's a snap. Most of the attacks demonstrated required chaining of several vulnerabilities together because there's multiple defenses. It's actually it must be a fun challenge for the hackers. The final count for vulnerabilities discovered or revealed this year at pwn to own this week: 5 flaws in Windows, 4 flaws in IE 11, 3 flaws each in Firefox, Adobe Reader, and Flash Player, 2 in Apple Safari, and 1 in Google Chrome. After the contest, all the bugs were reported to the vendors so they could fix them. And now the work begins for next year. I have mixed feelings about this. It certainly attracts attention. It just reminds us, if you think you are operating on a safe, secure platform, you probably aren't. You probably aren't. And even if you are, and if you have your social security number is held by somebody, which it is, you can't, nowadays it's hard to do anything without giving them your social security number. And the security of these companies, we're finding out, is so poor, and hackers are so determined. I don't know what we do. GreatFire.org, which is I think a really good organization that publicizes what the Chinese government is doing to block internet access in China, themselves are now being attacked significantly, probably by China. China has declared them a state enemy, an anti-China website. And they are getting what's called a denial of service attack, distributed denial of service attack, where it's impossible to fight. You just have to, throw more resources up because you get so many requests for web pages, all of them spurious, that you have to, and you can't as a website ignore them. They're getting 2.6 billion requests an hour. 2.6 billion requests an hour. That's 2,500 times the normal level. And it's costing them an additional $30,000 a day for bandwidth. These are very effective attacks. The hackers aren't winning, but they're doing awfully well. I interviewed this week an interesting fellow, a guy who's written a book called Future Crimes about where the hackers are winning, but what we can do. And he's got a great page in it. He was an LAPD beat officer, listened to this show in the early days, 10 years ago, And he said he became kind of a geek because of it. He says, my desk sergeant shouted, okay, who here knows how to do spell check and word perfect? And he said, I think it's Control F2. You're hired. You're on the cyber security squad. But he's written a great book and has a great recommendation, which I'll talk about, for keeping yourself safe. Now that we know all these things are happening, what can you do? And it's an acronym of the word update. But I'll tell you about that and answer your calls. Heather Hammond's here. Get those phones ringing. 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to talk high tech. Help you. Little hand holding on the information superhighway as we continue. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, look. Thank you, Burke.
Ooh, how sweet it is.
Wow. I've told you before how much I love my Epson workforce.
Wow.
We having trouble? Oh, you got to turn that thing on. Yeah, last week nobody knew how to do it. I made $5. I didn't gamble the whole time till you get to the airport, and then you have to sit there. By the way, never fly Spirit Airlines. Holy cow. I mean, it's not like it's a surprise. They say we're cheap. You have to pay Spirit Airlines. You have to pay them if you want an advanced seat. Otherwise, you just get whatever seat you get. If you want carry-on, you pay them $15 or something a bag. For carry-on, they don't give you anything. And the seat, the only thing that really bothered me is the seats are the smallest legroom of any domestic airlines. 31 inches is United and U.S. Airways. It's 28 inches. So your knees are right against the back. Fortunately, the seats aren't allowed to recline, but you feel like sardines in a can. And then somebody was coming back from Vegas who apparently partied a little too hard. I've never experienced anything quite like that. And you know what's funny is the tickets are cheap, but by the time you tack on a carry-on bag and a seat assignment, they're not. They're the same. What did I get? I'm so excited. What is this? Oh, it's my ink. It was a short flight. I thank God we didn't do it for a cross-country flight. We learned our lesson. It turns out after I tweeted it that, because I tweeted a picture of Lisa's knees pressed up against the seat back. And it turns out after I tweeted, everybody said, oh yeah, that means you should listen to the Planet Money episode about them. The CEO doesn't allow lights in the office to save money. It actually doesn't look as bad as it was in the on the seat backs. Doesn't look quite as bad as it was, but let me tell you, your knees are right. And the two people behind us were tall, so not only do you have your knees pressed up against the seat in front of you, but their knees pressed into my small of my back.
Good Lord.
Don't fly, Spirit. Just a word
What do you
of
do?
warning.
Like crouch your knees all to one side or spread?
Yeah,
eagle,
well,
or-
Joe, who's fairly tall, was just sitting man-spreading.
Man-spread.
I could just fit. I'm 5'10", and I could just fit. My knees are actually touching the seat back. But
What a
you can't
nuisance.
recline, so you're sitting like... For an hour and a half, it was fine.
Sure.
It was a package deal. Lisa, I don't think, would have booked it otherwise, but it was a hotel, and they don't tell you the airline until after you've booked it kind of deal. Learned my lesson. What's going on at Target? The end of Southdale's Target. Oh, wow. Wow, it's all over. Aw. An empty Target store. They're closing in all of Canada? Wow. Why is that? By the way, hello. Are you Weston?
Steve.
Steve. I don't know where Weston is. And Tom.
Yes.
Nice to see you. From ZDNet. A fellow professional broadcaster. Nice to meet you both. Welcome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Nathan Staten, our musical director. Heather Hammond, the phone ranger. I'm like George Bush. I got a nickname for all of you. Well, tell me, what do we got?
You had to take me back there, huh?
Yeah. I had to take you back to the good old days. What, let's see. Heather, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you again.
As always.
I'm back from
Same
Las
here.
Vegas, Nevada.
I'm back from Broads and Broadcasting.
How fun. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it's all over Facebook.
It's the Bay Area Radio Hall of Fame, or BARF, which is not the greatest acronym.
Yeah.
And apparently it was a special event for female barfers.
No one threw up, though.
Were you on my flight last night on Spirit Airlines? Because I think...
Oh, really?
Oh.
Was it lumpy, the flight?
Yes.
Someone lost?
Oh,
cookies?
I don't think it was a lumpy flight. I think when you're going home from Vegas, sometimes people party right up to the gate.
Oh, right. Oh, that's terrible. Ugh, I am
And then
sorry.
so we're on the world's cheapest airline. And not my fault. I mean, not their fault. They told us.
Yeah, they're trying to do
They told
business
us
a little bit
Yeah,
differently.
you pay for everything. And
You get what you pay for.
You get nothing. And apparently they don't even bother to pressurize the cabin because everybody's getting nosebleeds and headaches. And oh, it's terrible. It was not fun. Anyway, short flight. I'm back. I won. Somebody said you haven't won in Vegas until you've left Vegas with money, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're still there, there's still a chance that they may get their money back. $5. And I didn't gamble until the airport. For some reason, I'm stuck in the airport for an hour. I always play the video poker there. I don't know anything about gambling. I'm sure they're terrible machines. But I do well there. So I put in the 20 and came back with a 25. And now I'm happy. That's it.
Wow.
That's it for
you
me.
can get a latte. Wow.
I can get a latte.
So you're in this can, and some bachelor party bro.
Oh, girl.
Really? Curly girl. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Let's talk about more pleasant
Let's
things.
talk about more pleasant things.
I don't know if this is actually more pleasant, though. Paul in West Covina.
Another person with a technology issue?
Yeah.
Why is it they always call... Oh, that's because I'm the tech guy.
We kind of put that out there.
You know what's really bad if you're the tech guy? If you have problems, everybody, it's universal. Oh, why don't you call the tech guy? No. It's universal. I can't print. Why don't you call the tech guy then? And then there's nothing you can do about it because you're supposed to know how this stuff works. Let's say hi to Paul, West Covina. Thank you, Heather Hammond. Hi, Paul.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good this weekend.
Good.
Long time listening.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Leo, I had a question. Usually I stick with the Android phones, and I've had Windows phones in the past, but just recently I bought from a family member an iPhone. I'm not really sure what model it is.
Okay.
I believe it's older iPhone 4. And the code that was initially in it stopped working after a couple of days. And unfortunately, the person I bought it from, the family's not available to give me the code. I see the passcode. Like you can't. Right.
And you enter it and nothing happens.
Well, for the first couple of days, it actually worked. And we only use it for Wi-Fi because my wife wanted to use it through the Wi-Fi system. But when I had to recharge it, the next day we went to put in the same code. And it kept saying, wait a couple seconds.
Yeah, and after a while, it blocks you out.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what
the issue, if it's an older iPhone, you're in luck, believe it or not. A newer iPhone, you wouldn't, because they want to discourage iPhone thievery, they've got effectively a kill switch. If you lock your phone and lose it and somebody doesn't know the passcode, they can't unlock it. They can't wipe it even. You just basically might as well throw it away. In this case, because it's an older iPhone, I hope it is an older iPhone, and if the OS hasn't been updated, which it probably hasn't, you could just hook it up to a computer and wipe it out.
Okay. And now what
you need iTunes on a Mac or PC.
Okay.
And you're going to do a full restore to it. So you'll connect it. You might not be able to connect it if you don't know the passcode. You can't, the newer phones, you would need to actually log into your iCloud account to restore the phone, and that means so you need. The chat room is saying, you know what you need?
What?
DFU, which sounds like an epithet.
It does.
It sounds, but it stands for device firmware update. It's a serious. It's more than a reset of the phone, and you can actually do it without using iTunes. So that's the good news. So you hold the power. Get this now. In fact, what I would suggest, I strongly suggest you do, there are videos to get the timing right on YouTube, because you have to hold the power button for 3 seconds, and then hold the home button for 15 seconds, and you got to get the timing exactly right. So it's a nice idea to do it with a video that will say, okay, now go. Okay, now. So what I would do is go to YouTube and search for DFU.
DSU.
DF as in fun. DFU. Yeah. And that is a hardcore reset. What does that stand for? Device firmware update, digital. I don't know. I can only think of bad things. But I do think this diabetic foot ulcer. No, I don't think that's it. It is the device firmware upgrade, and it is kind of the hardcore way to do it. But if you search YouTube for DFU, they'll walk you through it.
Okay, I appreciate it, Leon.
All right, Delta Foxtrot uniform.
It's great to hear that spirit didn't kill your spirit.
I didn't mention any names, but now that I guess you could probably guess. I have to talk when Johnny Jet's on.
Know which one it is.
Yeah, but they don't make any bones about it. They say, look, we're cheap. And the reason we're cheap because we nickel and dime you. Although by the time you pay for everything, it kind of wasn't that cheap. By the time you pay for a seat, and then you pay for a carry-on, that kind of surprised me. And you have to pay to print your boarding pass $10 if you haven't printed it before you leave. I know, it's kind of stunning, isn't it? If you get to the airport without your boarding pass, actually, if you get to the airport without doing all of this, then you really will pay more. It's a very odd business model, and yet they're literally the fastest growing airline in the United States. People want to. Go ahead.
It'd be a different flight, a different world.
It would, yeah. Well, people want to fly, and sometimes if you can't afford it, you can get somewhere for really very little money. So I guess I can't fault them. But boy, just you should know what you're getting into. I guess is what it is. It's not like they may hide it. They tell you we're cheap, but and the fares start cheap. But you got to consider all the add-ons before you really think about how cheap they are. And then the seats are so close. If you're tall, don't fly them. 8888 ask Leo. It's an interesting story actually. There's a good podcast called Planet Money that did a little 13-minute interview with the CEO of the company. And you kind of get, once you hear that, you go, oh, I get it. Now, he's such a cheapskate. His lighting, he leaves the lights off in his office. He says there's sunlight from the window. What do you need lights for? But then when you turn it on, only one bulb of the 3 in the fixture comes on. He says, yeah, you only need that. Once you understand that, you go, oh, I get it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ba-bum. Ba-day-ba-dee-doo. Well, I'll ask Johnny next week. He's talked about it before, I think. He warned me. I didn't book it. I'm an old man. Once you get to be an old man, it's young people who can do that. Right? Once you get older, you kind of realize comfort has a high premium. There's a value. There's a value to being comfortable. Wow, this beautiful bottle of ink. Holy cow. It's like a jewel. Look at that. It's the Edelstein ink collection. I don't know what I have a thing. I have a bad. Sometimes some people have things for jewelry, for wristwatches. I kind of have a thing for pens. There's green. Which one should I do? There's black. There's green. I don't know why did I buy 3 bottles? This'll last until the 22nd century. You know what? Spirit made Southwest look nice. It made Southwest feel like luxury.
The limousine of airplanes.
Yeah, it really did. What? You mean I can just pick any seat?
What are you going to do with all that ink, Benjamin Franklin?
I don't know. What was I thinking?
You should write a new constitution.
I shouldn't be allowed to just buy stuff.
The Constitution of Tech.
It's, you know what it is? It's, one click, you just go, oh yeah, I'll take 3. One click. Well, I couldn't decide between black, very dark blue, tanzanite, onyx, or adventurine, which is a greenish hue.
Oh, my.
What do you think?
If it were a store in the mall, you wouldn't even go into it. And here you are with 3 bottles.
I know. Oh, the ink store. Now, you know why? Lisa bought me a beautiful pen.
Oh.
And I have to have fine ink in this fine pen.
Shouldn't there be a plume attached to the end?
A plume. Did you notice that when they sign football players in the NFL, they all sign their contracts with big quill pens?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I thought maybe that's just some weird affectation of one team.
Makes you think they should have a ruffly pirate shirt on. And
it's the strangest thing. Am I wrong? Is that something that the NFL does? It's very weird. Let me see if I can find some pictures. Oh, now he's using a pen. Gosh darn it. I'm looking for some signing picture. Oh, you know what I should do is image search. Signing NFL contract. Oh, no, they're all using pens.
Quill.
Now that I said that, they're all using regular pens. Okay, I saw 2 pictures where they had a giant feather. 2 different teams, and I thought, oh, this must be a thing the NFL does. I guess I'm wrong. We talked about Mircat on the show, right?
Yeah. I did a little bit from Broads and
good.
A couple
did
people.
You?
They
just raised $12 million for a valuation of $50 million, something like that.
I started to do it this morning and nobody jumped on, so I was like,
well,
my battery.
Here's my question.
Mircat, maybe
here's
Mircat's
my question.
over.
It's definitely over. You know why? Because Jeff Needles is the number 2 most Mircated.
Good Lord.
But here's my question. If an employee Mircats on company time all the time, should I have to pay him? Can I just dock him his pay that day?
And he's using your celebrity to be.
No, I'm not going to say that because he's beating me.
I'm guessing. Well, I'm guessing.
Our show today brought to you by Gazelle, GAZELLE.com. Gazelle is the place. Let me show you Gazelle. To both buy and sell gadgets now, your phones, your tablets. So for a long time, we've talked about how great Gazelle is for selling your old iPhone or your old iPad. They even buy broken iPhones and iPads. You can also sell BlackBerries, HTC, LG, Motorola, Nokia, and Samsung phones, tablets from Microsoft, the Kindles, the Fires, Asus, Google Nexus tablets you can sell. Now, the deal is you go there now and get a quote, GAZELLE. The quote's guaranteed for 30 days, so you don't have to act on it. But you'll at least know because you go shop around, Get the price from Gazelle. The thing about Gazelle, it's so convenient. Once you get the quote, go ahead and pile all those gadgets in there. They'll send you a box when you check out, prepaid postage on anything worth more than $1. And then, if you have stuff, you can pile stuff in there that you just want to recycle. It's a great way to recycle, even if they don't give you any money for it, if it's really too old or it's not something they buy. They will recycle responsibly. And then the best stuff they get, they resell as their Gazelle certified pre-owned. They have 2 categories, the like new and certified good. In every case, of course, they go through a 30-point inspection, make sure they're fully functional. They grade them as to quality and so forth. Certified pre-owned devices are backed by, of course, a 30-day risk-free return. So this is a great way, if you lose your phone or you break it, to get a new one and save a lot of money. For buying and selling, Gazelle's the best. They've paid out over $200 million now to over 1 million customers. They really are good. You're going to love them. Gazelle, GAZELLE.com. the place to buy and sell your gadgets the fast and simple way. Save a lot of money, make a lot of money at Gazelle. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Elizabeth on the line next from Benicia, California. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am good, just wishing it would rain.
Do you feel that we should give up now?
Oh, we can't. We got to do more rain dances.
Yeah. You know, I was in Vegas over the weekend, and I was wondering where all that water came from, and it comes from Lake Mead, and the climatologists are saying by the next 20 years, Vegas is going to run out of water.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the report this morning said that the Sierras only have 10% of normal snowpack.
In fact, aren't the ski places closing down already?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's scary.
Oh, lordy. What can I do for you today?
Well, I want to talk about email spoofing.
Oh, it's easy to do. Email can be spoofed. Yeah.
So I received the email from a friend, and it was a distribution list with, of course, the link that is the bad link.
Right.
And I checked with him that no one had gotten into his account. There was no... Well, the email wasn't in his send folder.
One clue...
I went out and looked at the header. And in the olden days, we could tell where the email came from in the header, and I can't anymore.
Well, you could look at the header. It wouldn't necessarily tell you anything. It could only... So here's the deal. And one clue to look at would be the other people in the CC, if they were friends of his or not. If they're all random...
Oh, yeah, they're all contact lists.
But are they his contact list?
Yeah.
Well, then he's been compromised, whatever he thinks. He's been... I mean, how else would they be able to do that? So here's what happens. If you're a spammer, you're never going to use your return address. That's the surest way to get in trouble, right? So all of the tools spammers use to send email allow you to say who it's coming from. They also obfuscate the outbound server. So, you know, sometimes people say, oh, I know, I can figure out who the spammer is. I just look at the headers and go right to the first initiating server. That must be him. Nope. So that information is of very limited utility, I'm sorry to say. People often look at it, but it doesn't tell you much. But now, the fact that the other CCs are people in his contact list means that they got into his Yahoo, or, does he use Yahoo Mail?
SBCglobal.net. So
Yahoo. That's Yahoo Mail. So you know how I knew? Because it's always Yahoo Mail. I don't know why that is. Now Yahoo has a new system. Oh, this is going to be good. If you don't need a password, they'll just send you a text message anytime you want to get into Yahoo Mail with your password, with a different one every time, of course. But you don't even need to know a password anymore. Yahoo Mail has security issues. So they've hacked his account.
So, but the question is it how are they hacking the account?
There's all sorts of ways.
These are AT&T email accounts.
Not really.
Well, they started out...
Not really.
Okay.
AT&T uses Yahoo, so it could be AT&T got hacked, but much more likely, either social engineering or good guesses, because Yahoo doesn't have them. I don't know why it's always Yahoo, but Yahoo doesn't have the best security. Maybe he didn't use a great password; they guessed it. Maybe his security questions were guessable. Maybe they. There's all sorts of ways, and I can't tell you how they did it, but I can tell you now what he should do immediately is change his Yahoo password.
He did.
Yeah. That probably be the end of it. What did the contents of the email, was it personalized to you?
No, it was one link, and that was it.
Very common Yahoo hack, and I've had this happen to friends of mine. They get hacked. My landscape guy, my gardener's email got hacked, and I got an email from him that said, oh my goodness, I'm in Belgium, and I got robbed at gunpoint. They took all my money and my passport. If you could just wire me $1,000, and it said, it said his name. It said, and I'll be back to garden for you in a week. Except that he'd been there the day before, so I was pretty sure he wasn't in Belgium. But it was so compelling with the little personal details. So that's what they do. If they can get into a Yahoo account, they'll read some of the mail, they'll put something together, and then send it to everybody in the contact list, hoping to get some money out of it. That's one very common scam. Yours is just a dumb malware scam. I wouldn't. It's possible he has a virus on his system. That's the old days. The virus would go through your contact list and send it out. But that's something
he had an Apple computer, so
yeah, it's probably not a Mac. Yeah, probably
that he could. I didn't think Apples were hackable.
Oh well, they are. We just talked about it, but it's much less likely because there's no percentage in it. Bad guys.
And there was nothing in his sent folder.
Yeah, well, I'm less than convinced that's a useful diagnostic.
Okay.
I hear people say that. In fact, I've even said that. We'll check in the sent folder, but truthfully, you don't need to use the built-in email program to send out an email. A lot of viruses contain their own mail program, so you wouldn't see it in the sent folder.
Oh.
You might see it in the Yahoo sent folder. I would look on the Yahoo or the SBC Global email. But change your password, change it again. I just think that because they're using Yahoo as their back end, Yahoo for some reason gets hacked a lot. I think it's just not very effective in controlling the passwords. But if it doesn't happen again, nothing to worry about.
Okay. All right.
These things happen. I'm sorry it happened to him, but it's good that he has a smart person like you who understands this stuff helping him. Because that's the real reason I think they go after Yahoo is because people who use Yahoo tend to be less sophisticated users. Either they got Yahoo through their ISP, a lot of ISPs do it because it's cheap, or they got it because they had my Yahoo homepages, or for whatever reason. But it seems to be that most sophisticated users have moved on to systems with better security. Yahoo's really exacerbated by this new plan to text message a password to you. It's what we call a one-time only password. So it'll be probably a series of short series of digits that you enter in, and then you get into your mail, and then you don't have to ever remember it. Now, it's an interesting idea because people don't remember passwords, or they make their passwords really easy so they can remember them, or worse, they have one really easy password they use for everything. I used to, in the early days of the internet, I confess, before there were bad guys, I used monkey as my password everywhere. That was a bad idea because it's a dictionary word that makes it very eminently guessable. Even monkey 1234 is not much better. And then using it on the same system, same password on a number of systems means if they break it on one, they got them all. So, in fact, we're going to talk a little bit about this future crimes and the update protocol. And one of them is to have use a password manager if you can. If you can muster up the techno prowess, it's not hard. Use something like LastPass to not only make long, strange, random passwords, but then to remember them. Because obviously nobody wants a 20-character random password because I can't remember that. But the point of LastPass and the other password wallets like 1Password and RoboForm and Dashlane, all of these allow you to make long passwords and then remember them for you. And they'll fill them in and everything. And all you need to do is remember the one key password to get into it. $8888 Ask Leo. I just, yeah. If you can use two-factor, that's the other thing he mentions in this, and I'll give you the whole list in a bit, but if you can use two-factor, that's a great idea too. And that's one of the reasons people do use Gmail, and I use it. It's a little less convenient because you have to have that second factor coming in, but it sure is a lot more secure. 8888 Ask Leo, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So all that noise was Jeff Needles.
Man, meetings. Think about
texting me, saying I wasn't meerkatting at work. Oh wait a minute, actually he didn't say that because he was. For your information, my meerkatting has not interfered with my work.
Oh my.
Oh Lord, let me turn off the sound. It's hard for me. It was hard for me not to laugh in the as I'm talking. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. I'm just jealous of his Mircat success, that's all. I wish I were so good at Mircat. You know what I need? I just realized it a little too late in the game. A paper towel. Or a pen wipe. Don't they make such things, pen wipers? I could wipe it on my Irish wig. Do you have a paper towel or a box of Kleenex or something I can wipe my ink off? I didn't spill it. I just, you know how it is with ink. It gets everywhere. What am I, crazy? Just use a ballpoint pen. No. Thank you.
Oh my.
No, it's not bad.
Well, not yet. I'm ready.
It's not bad. It's not going to be bad. I know. I'm filling a ballpoint pen a fountain pen with ink in the middle of the show. I know I'm doing that. But I'm kind of a multitasker. I can't do just one thing at once. There, look. No ink was spilled in the making of this radio program.
If you switch to this camera, you can show the world.
They don't. They want to see what I'm up to.
Probably.
I did get a little on my finger. I decided to go with the Onyx. It just sounds so good. The Onyx. Now you have to tighten this down. I don't know why. I mean, this Pelican, which is good ink, but I don't know why this is like the... Apparently there's like fine ink. Oh, that was another fun one. I'll tell you, this is one off the air. I won't tell you this one on the air. Huh? Oh, will that get rid of it? A BD alcohol swab? I probably need something more like gasoline. This is why they call them ink-stained wretches. Oh, what do you do? I'm a scribe, can't you tell?
All right, I guess I won't. It's the good stuff.
You got any acetone?
I do.
You got any ethanol? I mean, Bleach will work, they say in the chat room. I'm just teasing you, Jeff. You know that. He's very nervous now. It's not me you have to worry about, Jeff. It's Jimmy Fallon. He's pissed. Actually, Johnny has gotten, I'm sorry to say, we moved too slowly on the travel tech. So somebody else has picked him up. Here we go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Moving on to Pete in Brooklyn. Why do I want to say Illinois? It's, I believe, in New York still. Hello, Pete.
Yes, sir. How are you, Leo?
I am well, Pete. How are you?
Good. Another problem I had to call the master for.
Uh-oh. I hope
Leo,
I always get nervous when somebody says that. I'm just this guy, you know? What can I do for you?
Leo, I have a 2013 Mac Pro.
Yes.
And I've been trying to put Windows 8. I tried Windows 8. I tried Windows 10 with Boot Camp. But for some reason, I can't get it to take. It just keeps, it looks like it installs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it'll keep rebooting. I try to go into safe mode to try and install maybe a video driver.
No, it's probably a driver issue. So the drivers for Macintoshes, when you use Boot Camp, you know this, the first thing that happens, Boot Camp is this is so inspired. Apple, no, and this comes from the days when Apple wasn't very dominant in computing. I guess they still aren't in desktop and laptop computing. So they realized, well, if we're going to sell computers, we ought to make it easy for somebody to run Windows on it in addition to a Macintosh operating system. So they put this thing called Boot Camp. It's so clever. It actually is very automatic. You run it. It divides the hard drive into two parts. And then the next step, and this is the key, it goes to the Apple website and downloads drivers, which you're supposed to put on a disk or a USB key. The problem is the drivers are for the hardware that you have, right? It's smart. It knows, oh, he's got a 2012 Mac PowerBook, so we're going to download that one. But it may be that they don't have drivers that are compatible with Windows 8, certainly not Windows 10. So you may be stuck with Windows 7.
Okay. Now, it works with Parallels. I get it to install fine with Parallels.
Yeah, so what Parallels does is very different. So Parallels, it's actually, this is an interesting topic, which will bore everybody, but I find it fascinating. So Parallels, which is a virtual machine, kind of does it differently. So what Apple's doing is they're really turning your computer into a Windows machine, just like any other PC. And as with any PC, you need software drivers that tell the operating system, Windows 8 or 10, how to talk to the hardware. Because it's all Apple hardware, they make the drivers, they download them to you, and you can only use the drivers they provide. And since they don't provide drivers for Windows 8 or 10, you're out of luck. Parallels and the other virtualization programs do it differently. What they're doing is they're creating a kind of an imaginary computer, a generic computer within OS X. And Windows uses, if you look at it, generic drivers. It's not using Apple drivers in Parallels or VMware Fusion or VirtualBox. Those are the VM solutions. It uses generic sound drivers, generic video drivers. And then the in-between program, Parallels, interprets those appropriately. So Parallels has to know about your Macintosh, but not Windows. And that's one of the reasons Parallels works quite well with a variety of operating systems. Those operating systems think they're running on generic PCs, not on Apple hardware. So that's the difference. So I'm pretty sure that Windows 8 and 10 just aren't supported because you have an older Mac. Newer Macs support 8, I know. Although the Fusion drive can give it conniptions.
Yeah, I have a 2013 Mac Pro, but that's not too old, right?
Is it a MacBook Pro?
No, the Mac Pro, the one that you have.
Oh, you have the latest Mac Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it 2013 already? Wow. That seems like it should be more recent than that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you should look and see Apple will have a support page for Boot Camp that'll say which versions of Windows it supported. Mike B says the Mac Pro doesn't support 7 and only supports 8. So I'm confused. You need to look in the Apple site. Make sure you're getting the right drivers for your Mac Pro. I haven't tried it myself. I've used it. I do it the other way, the virtualization way. In fact, I'm running Windows 10 on my Mac Pro using VMware Fusion, no problem at all. So I don't know. So they're saying now it does support 8, maybe not 10. It does support 8, so I'm not sure what the problem is in that case. You've got to make sure you're getting the right drivers. Are you making a new driver disk when you are prompted to do so?
Well, you know what is? I have the USB drive in, and it says it's downloaded.
Yeah, it should be writing to it, yeah.
And I put it on I have a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro, right? And I put that on this past week. Everything went fine, but for some reason when I do it with the Mac Pro, it always it looks like it's installing, but then it keeps restarting once you boot in.
Yeah.
For some reason, and it's out of Apple Care, so I don't know what to do. And I really would like to have.
Yeah, I don't think Apple Care really cares if you can run Windows. Let me look at. I'm looking at the website. We'll put the link in the show notes to the various. I'm just looking in the show notes. Mac Pro late 2013 should support. It supports only Windows 8 64-bit. That's the only version it supports. But you have to make sure you have the latest version of Boot Camp. So here's what I would do. I would go to the Apple support site, download the right software. You need 5.1.5640. Make sure that's installed. And then you must install Windows 8 64-bit. And you're installing it from a genuine Windows disk and all that?
Yes.
Yeah. I want to also make sure you have all the updates, the various updates.
What would you get through Apple through the software update, right?
Yeah. There are EFI updates. They did some updates on the some of the firmware on the Mac Pro, as I remember. I make sure you have them all, and then if it still doesn't work, I don't know. I'm not going to run home and try to install it though, because I'm not a big fan of Windows 8. It's great when Windows 10 on virtualization works fine, and that's all I really need. We'll put a link in the show notes. The chat room's come up with the links to the Apple support pages to make sure that you have the right version of Boot Camp. By the way, the right version of Windows as well. That could be part of the issue. Shell in West Covina, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Shell.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? What's the matter? You don't sound happy.
Just debating on a GoPro. They have the silver edition and the black edition. A lot of people don't know information when you go into the stores to buy them, but I am into photography.
So the GoPro is not a great still camera. I have the black, the Hero 3 Black. I've had the silver. You know, the differences really are on how high resolution the images are and how many frames per second they can shoot.
Right.
If you look at the specs, you'll see a very clear difference between the black and the silver. You're looking at a Hero 4, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the black is a little faster. That means you can do higher frame rates. It does 30 frames per second 4K video. Have you looked at the output? You probably have. Everybody's seen all the great GoPro videos. You should just understand that a GoPro you can get a better quality video camera than a GoPro easily. The key on the GoPro is its compactness.
Right.
And so it's great for extreme sports. What are you going to use it for?
Basically, if you're riding, like, because you can put it to, like, if people ride bikes or down there, like.
It's great. You can put it on your helmet. You can put it on the handlebars.
Right.
People, racers. I saw a Lamborghini convertible in Vegas. The guy was such a narcissist. He had a GoPro on the front dashboard and a GoPro behind him. He was just driving down the street. He made sure there was video of him doing that. All I could tell you. In his bright orange Lamborghini. It's great for diving because they have waterproof housings. And the way the GoPros work, you buy the camera, you'll get some accessories, but then you can buy additional accessories so you can get the mount for your bike or the helmet mount. I got the head strap. It looks dorky. You look like you got a miner's lamp on, but it gets everything you're looking at. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the Hero 4, which is the latest, you know, it's really kind of what you can afford. You're mostly getting better specs when you get the higher end one.
Well, I had a question about basically the storage. No one can tell me like exactly how much.
It's as much as you buy. So they hold a micro SD card. So you get a micro SD card. The bigger you get, the more they can hold.
But is there a certain, like, you get so many, like an hour or 2 hours for a certain amount of, like, megabytes?
Yeah, depending on what you're shooting. That's why nobody wants to tell you, because it depends. So if you're shooting 4K 30 frame a second video, that's very big.
Right.
So you can't hold as much. I'll tell you what, I'll find there's a chart on the GoPro website that'll show you how many minutes you can record on each of those. And I'll find that, put it in the show notes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And when they do 4K, say again?
GoPro series.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
And I got the silver edition.
Yeah.
Does 1080p 60.
Right.
Go up to 4K.
Right.
But it comes with a screen on the back, touch screen that you can monitor the video on.
That's nice because they didn't used to have those. That's a big improvement.
And the more expensive version, it's $100 more than the silver.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that because the 4K sensor gets too hot. And only goes up to 30.
Here's some good information. So the disadvantage of the black is it doesn't have the touch screen LCD on the back of it. So you're paying $100 more for 4K video. If you're not going to be shooting 4K video, then you probably don't want to get the black. Get the silver because then you get the touch screen. The silver only does 1080p at 60 frames, which is very nice. So what we're talking about, I probably should explain that as well. Actually, the silver does do 4K, but it's only 15 frames a second, which is, probably not very good. For action, the higher the frame rate, the better, right? So if you're getting a lot of action, like you're riding a mountain bike down a hill you want to get a high frame rate. I don't know if you need 4K particularly. 4K isn't going to be playable in a lot of places. You kind of, I think, Chris, you did the right thing getting the silver, getting the touch screen and settling for 1080p 60, which is quite good. So 1080p is high def, and it's 60 frames, so the high frame rate makes a difference. Now, you can do 120 frames on 1080p on the black. So that's the real difference, is it in terms. Now, capacity depends on how big a SD card you put, a micro SD card you put in there, and then the video you're shooting. So what we want to find is somewhere where it says, this is a great page where it says how, so here's a good example. The high bitrate video, the highest quality the silver can do is 45 megabits per second. So that is roughly 5 megabytes a second. So you can figure it out. So if you're going to take a minute, that's 300 megabytes per minute. And if you get a 128 gigabyte SD card, you're going to be able to shoot quite a bit of video. So you have to do a little bit of math. The highest frame rate on the black is 60 megabits per second. So that's like 6 or 7, maybe 7 megabytes per second. So it takes up more space at its highest quality. But you can always shoot the lower quality. So you can always, if you're happy with a lower quality but you want more record time, you can do that as well. So that's why it's hard to give you a number. The answer will always be it depends. Now the battery is the same on both of them. The capabilities are pretty much the same except for the touch screen LCD, which is very nice. It says it can only go up to 64 gigs. I wonder if, sometimes they say that, but you put it in 128, it works. So I don't know. But yeah, you may have that limitation. Sometimes you can't handle more than 64 gigs. So I have the Hero 3 Black, which they don't even sell anymore. But I find that fine, and that's kind of comparable to the Hero 4 Silver. 4K video is overrated. Really, it's frame rate for action that you care about. 1080p at a high frame rate is probably better. So 60 megabits per second is 7.5 megabytes a second. There's parity bits, so I'm not sure if it's always 8 divided by 8. But anyway, it's roughly that. The batteries get hot and last about 45 minutes. That's a good thing to know, too. You can connect it and shoot. I found the batteries, yeah, exactly right. You can't get an hour out of the battery. So, Mike B., that is a story that we had 2 or 3 months ago on Windows Weekly. It's the strangest thing. Microsoft announced that they were replacing Internet Explorer. Well, first, every tech blog reported this this week, and it was like Paul Thurrott and I are going, that's interesting, because that's really old news. Microsoft has been saying that for months. The new Windows 10 will ship with a new browser, which has yet to be named, based on Project Sparta. However, for enterprise reasons, they're still going to ship an IE on many versions of Windows. So it's not dead, first of all. Second of all, ever since they've announced Project Sparta, they said it's the new browser replacing IE. Mostly, they're just going to rename the dang thing. Yeah, I think that's right, Corrosive. I think that just didn't have 128 gig micro SD cards when they were testing it. I think you're exactly right. Yeah. So what they're doing is they forked the browser engine for IE. So it is essentially it's the same engine but it's been forked for Sparta. It'll be new security flaws. They didn't go with WebKit. They want to do their own thing. Our show today brought to you by Hipchat. Love this solution. Looks initially, when you see it, you'll say, oh, that's instant messenger. Oh, no, it's so much more. Hipchat is a way to keep teams in communication in a way that is familiar, like instant messenger, but it brings so many additional tools to the table. Hipchat is texting, it's video chat, it's document sharing, it's screen sharing, it's code sharing. It's what we used. We initially started to use it with our web team in Austin because we wanted to be able to answer their questions the minute they had them, and it's been great for that. But we liked it so much, the engineering team uses it, the sales team uses it. You can run a Hipchat client on Windows, on Mac, on Android, on iOS. If you have a device like a Chromebook or a Windows phone that doesn't have a dedicated client, the web client works great. It works on all those devices. And Hipchat isn't just instant messenger. It integrates with GitHub and Zendesk and Jira, so if you're a developer, you'll love it. If you have to keep track of uptime, it works with New Relic and other systems like that. In fact, 57 different services. It's easy to set up. It's fun to use, which I think is really important. You know, your team will like it. And your productivity just goes through the roof. We've been so happy with Hipchat. By the way, fully secure, SSL at all time. In fact, you want to even have trust no one. You can have Hipchat on your server. Then no one gets access. No one. It's really great. You can add guest access. So when we're doing the website, if we want to get somebody into our Hipchat, but we want to control what they see, you give them guest access, and they see only what you want them to see. You have total control. There's a free Hipchat. It's free forever. But for the full versions, I want you to go to hipchat.com/techguy, and for the next 30 days, you're going to get the full version free, which is a good deal. No credit card even. Just hipchat.com/techguy. Click on, first sign up, then click on Start Chatting and invite some team members and try it. In fact, the first 100 people who do this right now, you're going to get 90 days free. Hipchat is awesome. I have Hipchat running 24/7 on all my systems. hipchat.com/techguy. Give it a try today. 30 days free. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo the number. We got time to talk tech. Another couple of hours. 888-827-5536. Love doing it. Love talking it. Talking the talk, walking the walk. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to talk high tech, I'd love to do it with you. 888-827-5536. Moving on to Archie in Hawthorne, California. Hi, Archie.
Hi, Leo. How's it going nowadays?
It's going good. How you?
I'm as good as I can be. KD6 Oscar Lima Hotel down here in Hawthorne.
We like our hams.
You know it. I've been listening to you or watching you since KKGO in San Francisco.
Yes, sir.
First started out there.
Yes, sir.
As you can tell, I'm an old guy, a little hoarse right about now, but...
Well, if you've been listening to me that long, I'm an old guy too, I think, but that's okay. That's okay. Us old guys. We were there at the beginning, right?
We were.
Yep.
I remember core memory and CPM and all the rest of those stuff.
Oh, yeah, the good old... I still have somewhere on the wall hung up a framed core memory board. This was... The kids don't remember this. Before there was RAM and it was fast, people handmade memory. It was a little wire that went through... Actually, two wires that went crisscross through a little magnet. And then they send a charge through the wire. It would polarize the magnet one way or the other way, and that's how they'd get their ones and zeros.
That's exactly right.
And somebody with very tiny hands would make those.
Yep. I don't know who it was, but they worked.
Yeah, they worked. Yeah. What can I do for you today?
Well, being an old computer man and an old radio man, I have a tendency to save and keep old things. I still have my Windows 95 and 3.1 computers sitting in here some darn place. And during all of that interim, I've got my 300 baud modem. And since then, I have went up to a Netgear that is 300 megabytes, I guess. And so I've got 5 modems. And then I went out and got me a Roku player for my Vizio TV. My modem's in the computer room, which is about 30 feet away, which is a Netgear 300 megabit modem. And my Roku does not work worth a darn.
Oh, it's not getting enough bandwidth, huh? Are you doing it wirelessly or wired?
I'm doing it wirelessly.
So it's a Wi-Fi router, Wi-Fi network router.
Right.
And the Roku sees it. How many bars does the Roku say? You know, you can do a diagnostic on the Roku. How many bars is it seeing?
Sometimes it sees 4 on Ustream, and then on the other one it sees 2 bars, 2 dots on the other one.
So it's okay. So that's one problem. The farther away you get from a router, or the weaker, you know this as a ham, the weaker the signal, the less data it can carry. So that reduces throughput. So that's one problem. But with 3 bars, you should be getting enough throughput. So now my concern is maybe the router isn't giving you everything you think it's getting. You're giving.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I was thinking about doing. I've got a dual band wireless in router over here, an RTN.
Well, I'll tell you, how many routers at the same time do you have going?
One right now.
Oh, good. Okay. Because you can congest again, a ham will know this, you can congest the frequency space, and then they won't work well either. In fact, a lot of people now, Wi-Fi has become so ubiquitous, a lot of people are having many more people having Wi-Fi problems than before. If you live in an apartment building or anywhere near other people, you may see 10, 15, sometimes 20 different Wi-Fi access points. And of course, you're all fighting basically for 3 channels. So that sometimes routers misperform there. They'll get promiscuous, for instance. That's the actual technical term. They'll go out and sign up to another router and say, I think I want to be with her for a while. and that can cause a problem too. So there's all sorts of problems. But so you don't have a lot of signals in your area, I hope.
On my computer router, I've got about 5, 6, sometimes 8 signals in the area.
There you go. That can also be it. For some, so one solution to that, and I do this at home, is if your router supports the 5 gigahertz band. Dual band routers, that's what they support, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. That's a much less congested band, and that is often the band of choice for multimedia stuff like streaming TV.
Okay. What about taking my in router and making me a bridge that I can stick right under the darn...
Yeah, you could do that also. Or I wouldn't stick it right under, I'd stick it halfway, right? But the trick on that is... it uses a technology that is open and understood and spec'd called Wireless Distribution System, or WDS, but the spec was kind of sloppy, so different router manufacturers seem to implement it differently. So my general experience is it's best if you use either the same manufacturer or at least the same chipset. But if it's all D-Link, it should work fine.
Well, it's all Netgear.
Or I'm sorry, Netgear, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, it's trying to use Netgear to Netgear. That'll probably work better for you. But I do that. I do that with my... so I bought a new Airport Extreme. Those are the Apple routers. And I took the old Airport Extreme, and I used that as a repeater, basically.
Well, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you can do that. So what you want to do is make sure that second router is in what they call bridge mode. You don't want it to be doing any network routing. You just want it to send and receive. Pass it along.
Okay, I can't remember how to make a bridge except take the old MAC address. No,
don't mess with it. It's in the settings. It's just sometimes it says bridge, sometimes it says do not do DHCP or NAT. That's what you want to turn off. Sometimes on the Apples it's very nice. It says, do you want to use this router to extend an existing network? And you say yes. But whatever it is, it'll be in the settings. You know how you browse to the router?
Right.
Browse to the new Netgear, 192.1.1.100 or whatever it is that it uses for its address, and then you'll go in there and you just have to look around. You can even look online and say, how do I bridge a Netgear XYZ router? And people will tell you that. Usually it involves turning off DHCP, that kind of thing. That's what you don't want it to do. You want it to be a dumb router.
Right. Like my 300 baud modem I've got.
You keep that for another 100 years, it might be worth something.
Well, I've got that and another green screen computer in there that I haven't used in about 25 years.
Did your 300 baud modem, does it have rubber cups for the phone to stick in? Yeah, those are great. I remember doing that. And then, of course, your kids pick up the phone when you're right in the middle of a big download.
Yeah.
Get off the phone, I'm downloading here. Daddy, why is the phone going? because I'm downloading and you just knocked me offline.
Did, and then I had to start from scratch. Hook the thing up, put the phone and put a rubber band on all the other, lock them down so that they wouldn't pick them up.
Use the phone. That's a good idea. I wish I'd known that. Put a rubber band on it. This phone in use. Do not. It's like being on a party line. Hey, Archie, it's great to talk to you.
Hey, likewise, Leo. It's great to see you face to face, as they say. Have a good day, and 73, old man.
7-3. Take care. W6TWT out. We love our hams. It's funny. It's a hobby. Hams are amateur radio enthusiasts, and you have to get a license. But it's a hobby that seems to be taking off a little bit, even though digital technology is in certain ways superseded it. You can Skype anybody in the world now. You can listen to radio on the internet from any corner of the world. When I was a kid, I used to sit there and tune my shortwave radio trying to find Russia, listen to Russian broadcast. Now you just go on the internet. Kids today. 8888 Ask Leo. Hey, let me tell you the website, techguylabs.com. If you have to remember one thing, remember that, because we put everything I talk about in there in the show notes, thanks to James DeRuvo and Josh Windish, who are scribbling as I speak. techguylabs.com. More of your calls coming up. I don't think it's the hams love attention. I think they just like to talk. That's why you become a ham. You want to talk to people. They're gregarious. They're friendly. They want to meet people. They want to talk to people all over the world. That's why. You're obviously a ham. No, but as a broadcaster, you know. Yeah.
I used to do the shortwave radio thing.
Yeah, wasn't that fun? Oh, I missed that. What did I have? A Yaesu? I can't remember what I had. I had a nice little short. I chose it from Consumer Reports because they said it was the best one. It had the little, it was so much fun. So much fun. Yeah, I'm a bad ham too, DLR. I'm talked out by the end of the day. The last thing I want to do is get on the radio and talk some more. But I think when I retire, I'm going to be a good ham. I'm going to say, anybody want to talk to me? Please? Actually, I'll probably just be sitting there with Mircat going. So, Jeff, I was thinking maybe I should get the HTC Re that I got that broadcasts right to YouTube. But the difference between that and Mircat, so that streams live to YouTube. So it's kind of like a little periscope. Remember I was playing with that? And you put it on there and you can just turn it on anytime and you're doing a live stream to YouTube. But what it misses is the social thing that Mircat does, because Mircat, as soon as you stream it, puts it on your Twitter stream. And then people go, and they can follow you and they tweet at you and all that stuff. Jeff Pulver's Mircatting right now from New York. That's the other thing, you get notifications. And then Jeff's saying, he doesn't want recordings on YouTube. Actually, I told a story that was so embarrassing on Mircat last night, and I'm glad that Mircat no longer exists. This is live, unless you're watching it recorded, in which case it was live, but it's not now. Usually, if it's not live, it'll say previously recorded, unless they forget to put that up. But you can also verify it by looking at the clock. So it's March 22nd, Sunday at 12:17 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. If that makes sense, then we're live. Jeff has now blogged my thoughts on Mircat. Jeff. Oh, Lord. Well, I can watch Al Roker get a haircut right now live on Mircat. See, there you go. Let's all watch together. Al Roker is Mircatting his haircut. That is just fascinating. Stream over. 246 people watched Al Roker get a haircut. Isn't that fascinating? Why am I not following Al Roker? I missed the stream. Oh, it's so funny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Kathy is next in Laverne, California. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. I'm having a problem. I have a 2-year-old HP laptop, and it has Windows 8.1, and I have Internet Explorer, and it seems every day Internet Explorer will just stop. It'll stop on a page. I can't X out of it. I can't scroll. None of the buttons will work.
That's not good.
No, and so I have to go to End Task in Task Manager to even close it. And I wonder if a different browser would make a difference.
Well, it would. I mean, there's something wrong with Internet Explorer, and you probably want to fix it. It's so tightly integrated into everything that Windows does that if it's crashing a lot, it means that probably other things will crash from time to time, too.
Okay, and I run my antivirus and everything all the time. I update
Good for
regularly.
You. Good for you.
What could it be?
It could be so many things. The first thing I would try in Internet Explorer is resetting the history. So one thing all browsers... By the way, I'm going to tell you a better browser. So I will tell you there's better browsers out there.
Okay.
But you want Internet Explorer to keep working because it's really an integral part of Windows. Okay. So the easiest way to do this is go to under Tools. While IE is working, go to Tools and Internet Options. And then under the Advanced tab, there's a Reset button.
Okay.
And what that does, and this is probably, well, it's certainly the first and most common cause of this kind of stuff. Internet Explorer, as all browsers does, cache stuff as you visit it. So when you go to a web page, it saves the images on the web page. It saves stuff from the web page so that it can quickly pop the web page up next time. It doesn't have to download all that stuff again. That removes some of the burden on the internet. It also makes surfing a lot faster. But if that cache gets damaged or corrupted, then it will try to load something and go, it's gone. So that's the first thing to check. So Reset, that's under Tools, Internet Options, Advanced.
Okay.
And you can reset it. Now I should warn you, you're going to blow away any bookmarks you have, and it'll blow away cookies if you've saved passwords and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm okay.
It's so okay. So if you do, you can save that stuff ahead of time, but it's a good idea to start fresh. So if that works, then you're good. I want to make sure though you're using the latest version of Windows. You update regularly.
Yes.
Good.
Always.
You're paying attention. I could tell.
Yes, I do. I don't ever get viruses or problems except for this recent one. So.
It's also possible that the file got damaged and you might have to re-download Internet Explorer or uninstall and reinstall. But do this first. The next thing is there are many better browsers. I prefer Google's Chrome browser for a few reasons. For one thing, it has Flash built in and sandboxed, so it's safer than just using Adobe Flash on the computer.
Okay.
And everybody still has to use Flash because there's a lot of websites, including my own, that use it. So I would go to chrome.google.com and download Google Chrome. It keeps itself up to date. I find it a better browser. It will also not share the same problems, right? So.
And would I have to uninstall Internet Explorer?
No, you can have both.
Okay.
You can't get rid of IE, and that's why I said I want to kind of fix it if we can.
Oh, okay.
Because your email package might use the IE libraries to display emails.
Yeah.
Many programs do. So you want to IE is kind of integral to Windows, so you want to make sure it's working.
Okay.
Make sure you have the latest version of IE. It's IE 11. You want to make sure you're using that.
Okay.
The other thing that can get you in trouble with IE is toolbars.
Okay.
Do you have a lot of toolbars installed?
No, but I do have my internet security has a toolbar.
And that could be causing it, by the way.
Okay, and I
sometimes
Norton 360.
Yeah, okay, now I'm torn here because on the one hand I applaud your desire to stay safe and secure, and that's good. Norton 360 is intrusive, and it has a lot of stuff that can cause these kinds of problems.
Oh.
So I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. I think the antivirus is fine, but you don't need the rest of it.
Okay.
So, and truthfully, you're using Windows 8.1?
Yes.
It has a very good antivirus built into it. I think you probably don't need to go beyond that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so one thing you might try is just disabling Norton 360 for a little bit.
Okay.
See if that helps.
Okay.
That's and the toolbar especially.
Okay.
That I know that they're trying to protect you, but they can be sometimes very aggressive and it can cause issues. And, of course, the number one vulnerability is the Internet. That's where the stuff comes in. So it wouldn't be surprising if Norton 360 were being overzealous that it might crash Internet Explorer from time to time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I can just run it with it's built in. I don't have a logo I have to click and scan for the internet security.
No, it has Microsoft Security Essentials. I think they call it Defender now, built in, and that's adequate. You sound like you're smart. You know what you're doing. You don't, for instance, things that bite people. Sometimes they get an email from somebody they think is a friend.
Yeah, never.
Never. Don't open attachments. You're careful on Facebook when you get a link that says, "Oh, you have to see this video."
I never click on anything.
Good woman. That's good. You probably don't need to worry so much because you're safe computing. That's the most important thing.
Okay, so I'll go to Tools and
I would uninstall Norton 360, frankly.
Really?
Yeah, I'd get rid of it if I were you.
Yeah, because under Task Manager, that's what's taking up the most, using the most resources.
Yeah, it gets in your way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this pushy kid that's saying, no, it's dangerous. I'll take care of this. And it's just getting in your way. And the truth is, it's overzealous. You don't really need it.
Okay, well, I'll give all of that a try. I wrote it down.
Wonderful. Kathy, nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you, Liam.
All right, take care. Yeah, we put this all also in the show notes, of course, as you know, at techguylabs.com. Uninstalling antivirus is sometimes not easy because the security software itself doesn't want it to be too easy for bad software. So you can go to programs and features and you can remove anything that says Norton. But then I would recommend you go to the Symantec website. Symantec, the makers of Norton, have an uninstaller, a standalone installer that you then run in addition. So I do the Windows uninstall and then go get the Norton uninstaller because it's more aggressive. And that's because they don't want it to be too easy to uninstall, frankly. Because if security software is easily uninstalled, then the bad guys will just uninstall it and do what they want. It's not unusual to get into problems with Norton 360. If you're still having trouble with IE, we'll put a link in the show notes. Thank you, Zendrum, in the chat room, on how to uninstall and reinstall Internet Explorer 11. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. But that would be the last step. I think 360 is almost certainly the problem. I'm not a fan. What happened is this was a big business for antiviruses. And then magazines like PC Magazine started rating antiviruses with a big grid of features and checkboxes. And in fact, you'll even see this on the back of the box on Norton 360 and on the display in the store if you go to a store to buy software. All the checkboxes. They want to make sure every checkbox was checked, which made for a massive program that really bogged your machine down. It was probably the wrong direction. 8888 Ask Leo. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, coming up. The Norton uninstall is not signed. Nice. Somebody told me, and I'm not going to repeat that on the radio, but who was I talking to? Oh, the guy who created Zone Alarm, which was the first firewall program. And he said, because I was talking about bloatware, because Zone Alarm became very bloated. And we were talking about this whole issue of getting the check marks. And he said, the other problem is that the Norton programmers were just terrible programmers. So now this is a competitor speaking, and I have no knowledge of this myself, but he said they were just terrible programmers. So not only was the stuff bloated, but it just was bad. And I have to say, from the user point of view, that resonates. There's a video of me stamping on a box of Norton 360 on TV. Hey, Chris Marquardt.
Hello, Leo. How are you? I'm
good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Okay, let me get your...
I've got a new toy. Well, I want to talk about my new lens.
We photographers are kind of sluts for gear. We're gear sluts.
Actually, I went the entirely opposite way, but I will surprise you with what I got on the show.
I bought the pinhole lens for the OMD.
Oh, you did? To kind of make up for the Leica?
No, I had that for a long time ago to make up for... So let me see how crappy this can look. Yeah. No, I bring my Leica with me everywhere, but it's a different. You know, the process now is very different because I can't focus. It's not autofocus, so it takes me a while to kind of get set up, and so it's really much more of a thoughtful process, and it's not great
and it makes it work. It makes it put some actual work in.
I think about it more.
Is where you learn. Yes.
So
I'm very, very proud of you.
It's really whether my pictures are better, I don't know, but it's making it more a fun thing to do. And a much more thoughtful thing to do.
The ones I've seen, they were great.
Thank you. I've been having some fun with it.
And it's I think it is. Well, the lens is one thing. It makes beautiful bokeh. And
the bokeh is interesting.
The amount of light it gets in, but the practice factor is the second thing.
I think that's a lot of it, frankly. Is the taking the exactly. The taking the time to think about it
and just having that camera with you.
Yeah. Well, it's nice and small. Although it's deceptively heavy. Thing is made like a tank.
Those things are made from a full block of metal.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's deceptively heavy.
They're solid.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, the new lens and why I got it and which one I got.
Oh yeah, you said that. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You got it.
We'll do that.
We had fun. Vegas has another one of those giant Ferris wheel things like they have in London and Paris. This one's the tallest, so it's really the views are spectacular. The only problem
that's not the one on the top of that building, is it?
No, it's called not the Stratosphere. It's called the High Roller. Okay. These are all from the camera phone. It's called the High Roller, and it's just a giant Ferris wheel. It's kind of like the London Eye.
What, you didn't take your Leica lens on
I did take it, but I don't have it. I don't have that on the web yet. Of course, those I'll have to process later. The problem with those...
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes longer,
Yeah.
Oh, well. Oh, I have, by the way, I have some example pictures if you want to pull up tfttf.com/stmtest.
You got it.
There's just like 5-6 pictures that I've shot this afternoon. Some little tests. tfttf.com/stmtest. Good.
Got it. Here we go. Hey, Chris Marquardt's here. Chris Marquardt from discoverthetopfloor.com, professional photographer, our digital camera guru. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
And he's coming to us from the Viewfinder Villa.
Oh, you got it right.
I got it right.
Finally got it right. Actually, this weekend we're going to have the Viewfinder Villa, the Villa warming party.
Oh, good.
There's like 20, 30 people coming here.
Oh, what fun. I wish I could come. We're going to be in your neck of the woods this summer, but not till then, unfortunately.
I'll see if I can Mircat some of that. So.
Will you please?
And I haven't started doing this yet.
Oh,
so.
Man. It's a sickness. It's an illness. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But first, let's talk about photography. You said you got a new lens.
Well, the thing is, the problem that I have is when I go out to shoot, so often I don't have I'm doing air quotes here, good camera with me. I have an iPhone in my pocket, and that has a very decent camera, but sometimes I want a bigger sensor. Sometimes I want my DSLR. And then at one point I got myself the Canon 100D. That's I don't even know what it's called in the United States. It's the smallest SLR that they make.
Yeah.
But still, the lenses are still big. And
it's not a Rebel.
It's one of those TI something.
Oh, it is a Rebel then. Okay, yeah.
Or TS or something. Well, yeah, it's the smallest.
The T's are Rebels, yeah.
It's the smallest SLR that they make.
Yeah.
And it's tiny. It's a crop sensor. It's an APS-C sensor, which is fine. But still, big lens on it. So I was still not taking that with me. And now I finally found the solution. And where you went for this amazing Leica lens, I went to the exact opposite side of the spectrum, and I got myself the 24mm pancake lens that Canon has released a while ago.
So it's not very big. I mean, it's maybe
tiny.
An inch, less than an inch, half an inch thick.
Yeah, about a bit less than an inch.
And then
clearly,
what is it? Very wide? What does it do?
It's a fixed focal length, so it doesn't zoom.
Okay.
That's one of the things they've done. They have put smaller glass in there, just tiny lens elements, but. I tested it, and the image quality was pretty much up there.
I'm looking at some of the images you posted at TFTTF slash, what was it?
.com/STM test. Yeah.
STM
Just
test.
a few shots I took this afternoon.
This is a wide angle lens. What is the?
It's wide angle-ish. It's a 24 millimeter lens, which on a crop sensor translates to about an equivalent of 38 millimeters. So it's still
pretty normal kind of width.
It's a pretty normal focal length. It goes down to f2.8.
Okay,
so
fast.
It's pretty fast, and it's got this new focusing technology in it. It's got a stepping motor in it. You know, normally there's either a regular motor or this ultrasonic thing that goes, zzz, you know, where it focuses really fast. And what they've done is they put a stepping motor in there, which goes at variable speeds, and it can go slow and fast, and it's kind of a funny sounding thing because it really makes weird sound.
Yeah.
Well, it goes at different.
It talks to you.
Pitches, but you know what it can do is if you shoot video, it has kind of a continuous focus thing. So
I like that.
It can follow things, which mostly depends on the camera, but the lens also does its share there, and it's at this point one of the cheapest lenses that they make. It cost me 169 euros, which at this point is probably about the same in US dollars.
Pretty soon it's going to be less.
Yeah.
So that's a good deal. About $170, and this is for your EOS Rebel. I think you have a T4i.
It is an EFS lens, so it only goes on the crop sensor cameras. It doesn't go on full frame.
See, I want to put it on my.
Here.
Yeah.
So that's one of the cons. It doesn't really go on full frame cameras. Right. Also, the one thing I don't like about it is the manual focus is fly-by-wire. So what you have is you have a focus ring that you can turn, and the camera will digitally read that and then actuate the stepping motor. So you don't have like this haptic connection. You know, when you use your manual lens and you focus to infinity, it goes cluck, and then it just doesn't turn any further.
That's weird.
This one is kind of infinite turning that focus ring.
That's very
which
strange.
Is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it does work. But with this lens, I'm not even looking that much for the manual feeling. I'm just looking for something that's really small, and that works quite well.
They're telling me in the chat room the 100D in Europe is the SL1 in North America.
It's the SL1, okay.
Yeah, or it's a small version of the T5i. So these are nice. We recommend these as starter digital SLRs. They're very good cameras.
I'm happy with it, and I shoot a big 5D. I shoot a full frame camera. I shoot with all sorts of weird lenses, but this one has really now turned into my always with me camera, because with that lens, together with that lens, it's just small enough to just carry around here. When I put it on my palm, you kind of get an idea that it's really not, the package is really not that big.
And it's not super heavy, which bigger cameras are so heavy. Yeah.
I think it's about probably half the weight of my normal setup.
And I'm just going to check the price, because people are always asking, what's a good camera? I want to get a little more serious about photography. I'm not going to buy.
The body only, I think you should be able to get for somewhere between $350 and $400.
So you add this lens, and you're under $600 for a very nice, very portable
nice package.
system.
Now you have to remember it's a fixed focal length, so there's no zooming here. But you know what it does for me? It also kind of helps me avoid to have to switch to a completely different system, to add a second system to what I already have. So I can use my other lenses on that, and it's really nicely integrated with my workflow now, and that's what I really like.
Is this a true SLR? I mean, are you looking? Does it have a mirror?
It does. It does have a mirror box. Yeah. It does have almost everything that the bigger ones have. It's tiny, it's small, but it's well built, and the image quality. Yeah, if you go ISO 1600 or higher, it's gonna give you some noise in the picture. So image quality on lower ISOs is really good, but then as you go higher, you will see a bit of a difference to the bigger cameras. But the difference is not big enough for me to really for this to be a problem for me.
Yeah. I'm a fan of compact now. I've come around a little bit. I went through carrying a giant pack with 5 lenses and a big heavy camera. Those images are so great, but I think what's happening is, as is happening across the board with technology, you're able to miniaturize better. The quality sensors are going up. And the biggest thing, of course, is removing the mirror. That takes up a lot of space.
And I was looking at the Sony system that you have, and but that would have really meant for me to add this complete second system with new lenses and with a whole baggage that comes with that to my setup, and I was just not ready to go that way.
Well, and that's the point, and that's why your first choice is kind of an important choice, because you're going to now be investing in a system. And you want to make sure that you like that system, because while the backs get better and better, and you continue to use the lenses, you're kind of stuck with the system that goes with the lenses. Although I should say one of the reasons people like these new Sony Alpha 7s is because you can use adapters and all your lenses.
They're full frame,
and it's a full frame sensor, and it's compact, but. We'll win you over. A lot of pros are still Canon and Nikon users. They're imprinted. You'll find Chris at discoverthetopfloor.com. He's got workshops coming up in the United States in a few months. He's got workshops all over the world. It's a great way to learn, and it's a lot of fun. And he joins us every week to talk photography. I'll talk about our assignment when we come back. We got to take a break. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yes, we have a photographic assignment for you. It's just for fun, but I'll tell you the details when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense because it's so compact.
And I was really surprised that what I could get out of this cheapo approach here. Really
I always
works.
use the 17 millimeter pancake lens on my OMD for the same reason, because it made the whole thing very flat and small. Hey, Alan, welcome.
All right, the new assignment is asleep, by the way.
Yes, asleep.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
See you next week.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yes, the app clock is exactly right. So that's how I've been so on time today. Whoops. What do? I launched the camera. I locked my countdown clock. $399 for the Rebel actually SL1, which is the one you want. The other thing that's bad on the Sony Alpha is a lot of people don't like the focus is slow, relatively slow. But that's why I use it with a manual focus lens, because that's even slower. But at least I've chosen slow. I've made slow my choice. No, this isn't a Windows tablet. It's an Android one, because the app is an app inventor. It's a really primitive little app. But this is the old Nexus 7, cheap thing, and a couple of reasons this works well for me. It's on it's got wireless charging, and it's on this is a cheese stand called the Tilt that I really like. So it keeps the screen on because it's always charging. And I set the screen to stay on when you're charging, and it keeps charging. If I get it, there it goes. So that can just sit there. It could go all the 24/7 actually. And this also, its clock is automatically updated, so it's accurate. That would be the other issue, is if the clock on the tablet got inaccurate, but it's very accurate. And they're obviously constantly, the radio show has got to be exactly on time, so the clock Nathan's using is accurate, obviously. Thanks to computers, though, it's not a big deal to have an accurate clock anymore. Yeah, this is synced by NTP fairly frequently. So watch. So this is so when we're in blue, we're in a commercial break. This is how many seconds remain in the commercial break. This is actually really useful, Tom, because I have to be on network time, so I get in trouble a lot. The knock's always calling and saying, "Can Leo get out on time?" A lot of the stations are automated, so there's a post in the sounder that triggers automation. If I talk past that post, it's going to be upcut by those stations. So it really is kind of important that I stay on time. And I was having a hard time. I had written, when I first started doing the network show, I had written a Apple script that I had up on the screen. But as Apple changed its operating systems and so forth, it stopped working. And I was just kind of muddling along, and I thought, I've really got to do something. So this will go green when we're in a segment, and then when there's 2 minutes left, it goes yellow. And when there's a minute left, it goes red. And that way I kind of have some idea of where I stand. And it's pretty accurate. So the bumper music we play down the network is going to end now. And then about 10, it will start and when it gets to 0, I should start talking. Thank you. So Chris Marquardt is a great guy. He is a great photography teacher and wants to get us all out there taking pictures. The best way to get better at photography, if that's something you're interested in, and I think we kind of mostly all are now, thanks to great camera phones, is to take a lot of pictures and look at them and think about them and say, what do I like about this picture? What don't I like? So each month, Chris gives us an assignment. It's just a word that you can interpret any way you want. It's an excuse to go out and take pictures trying to illustrate that word. This month, the word is, is it asleep? Yeah. Because last month it was awake. Okay, it's asleep. I had to think about it. So you want to, I'm not going to say what that means. Just take a picture that illustrates that. You can submit one a week to our Tech Guy group on Flickr. So if you're getting serious about photography, it's always good to know about Flickr. It's a free Yahoo site. Allows you to store your photos there, and it's a great place to put photos because people will give you feedback and critique them, which is nice. And the comments are usually very useful on Flickr. It's free to join. And then once you get there, join the Tech Guy group, also free to join. And Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you and everything. And they have the rules in there. You can submit up to one photo a week to illustrate the concept or idea of asleep. You should put the tag asleep in the photo. Flickr uses tagging extensively, so we know that that's it. And then in about 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, Chris will pick 3 of the pictures he likes the best or he thinks are the most interesting, and we'll talk about them on the radio show, and that will be your reward. There's no prize, just the fame and fortune. No fortune, just fame. Not even really fame. You get nothing. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go, and it's Rick in Placerville, California. Hey, Rick.
Hi, first-time caller. I got a question here. I have an automation music system that's on my desktop computer, and it plays the music the way I want to. The only thing is to get it downstairs. Now, I'll listen to it upstairs on the desktop speakers, but I have down here, I have like a Grace internet radio with a 3.5 that's connected all within a receiver that's connected into my flat screen television.
Nice.
And if I was to buy, and I know they're available, I just know if they work, is the dongle Bluetooth transmitters or receivers. If I put the Bluetooth transmitter, like you would with transmitting a keyboard or a mouse from the desktop, and then put a receiver into a 3.5 or in the USB in one of the devices downstairs, will it pick up the music signal on Bluetooth, or is that not going to happen?
No, it's not. It's probably not going to happen for a couple of reasons. First of all, Bluetooth is 30 feet, and it's not going to go very well through the floor. So you might not even get a signal down there. The second issue is a larger issue, which is you can get the dongle, but whatever you're plugging it into has to understand what to do with it.
Right. I just wanted to know if it would read it and then...
Well, I don't know. What are you plugging it into?
Audio put into the receiver, then come out with the music.
But what are you plugging it into?
Well, I would plug it into either two things. I have a Grace internet radio.
Yeah, it's not going to understand. So most of those dongles are for like iPod docks, or you could take the analog out. If the dongle has a audio jack, you could plug that in. But the digital thing would require software on the Grace radio or on some other device that would say, I expect digital audio from this USB plug, and I'm going to play it. Now,
and then I also have a Logitech Z55 receiver. It's one of those little thin. I mean, they work great. They sound good. It's all digital,
most of the time, those USB plugs, they expect you to put a thumb drive in there with MP3 files on it. So what happens when you plug that in is the Grace Radio or the Logitech scans it, says, okay, here's some stuff I can play. What do you want to listen to? It sees it as an external hard drive. That's not how the Bluetooth will present itself.
I see. Okay. Well, then you answered my...
But there are other ways to do this. For instance, what is it, a Windows or a Mac on the upstairs?
It's Windows, and I even have one of those FM transmitters. The problem is I don't have an FM receiver. I would have done it easy like that.
So, for instance, Apple solves this with AirPlay, so you're all on the same Wi-Fi network. You can AirPlay, if you had a Mac, that to any Apple TV anywhere in the house. There are similar solutions for Windows computers using DLNA. I've not found them to be... I don't know which ones are reliable. Let's put it that way. I haven't tried a whole lot of them. So there are ways to do this. This is not at all unusual. You know, I use a Sonos system, which is a purpose-built system to do exactly this. And those speakers are all over the house, and I can go take anything off the internet, just like the Grace Radio, but play it throughout the house. Or I could or use my own music collection, because it will see a computer with a music collection and say, okay, there's your library. I can play music from your library. There's got to be. Let's ask the chat room for some help here. Which version of Windows are you using?
I'm using Windows 7.
Okay. And you're able to play that music out through your speakers.
Yes, it's what the stations, commercial stations use when they want to go automated. I have the same system. It's a software. Wow. Oh, I mean, I play it the way I want.
What are you using? Profit? What are you? What are you using?
Well, it's used for internet streaming. If I wanted to use, I could do it that way through Live 365 or so. But
that's the other way you could do it. Exactly, you could do it for Live 365 and then tune your internet radio to your station.
Right. Yes.
But there would be, by the way, doing that, there would be lag. So one of the things that's the problem Sonos solves. That's a non-trivial problem, which is getting the speakers all to be on the same. At the same time. Otherwise, it sounds like your house is echoing.
Yes.
Now, if you can't hear upstairs from downstairs and you can't hear downstairs from upstairs, that's not going to matter. Do you have a squeeze box? Is that which Logitech do you have?
I have a Z5500 receiver. I also have a squeeze box, Logitech.
The squeeze box should do that. Isn't that the point of the squeeze box?
Yes, but that's upstairs. I have a Grace downstairs. Goes into my television, or what I'm saying.
If you were willing to use iTunes on your Windows machine instead of your fancy Prophet system, you could AirPlay. I'm being told, I didn't know this, from a Windows machine using iTunes to an Apple TV downstairs that would be hooked up to your stereo system, and that would use Wi-Fi. So as long as the Wi-Fi can get into both spots, which obviously it can, you wouldn't have any trouble with that. Miracast, Miracast, is another form of DLNA which does do this. Windows PCs can usually do Miracast. You need a Miracast receiver downstairs. There's got to be ways to do this from Windows. Apple, but I have to say, kudos to Apple, because they said, well, people are going to want to do this, so we're going to make it possible for you to use your Wi-Fi network to send not just audio, but media from your computer where it's stored to an Apple TV anywhere in the house. And that actually works really well. I would look into Miracast on your Windows machine, and then figure out how you can get the output of the Windows machine to a Miracast device, which would then put it on your Wi-Fi, and then you need a Miracast receiver downstairs going into your home stereo system. I'll do some investigation, because that seems like something people would want to do. It seems like something you'd want to solve. Somebody in the chat room says, hosting your own media is a fail. Increasingly, that's the case, isn't it? We all spend a lot of time. Remember the company that allowed you to take all your DVDs and put them in a jukebox so you could have thousands of DVDs online? Remember that? And it was like 10 grand. Remember that? If you bought that 5 years ago, that's obsolete. It's gone. Really, the future is not physical media, is it? But streaming, and in many cases, not even streaming from storage in your home, but streaming from the cloud somewhere, whether it's Spotify or iTunes Radio. Apple's going to come up with something interesting, I believe, this summer. They bought Beats. Remember, they bought Beats, which is a streaming music service, and the rumor is strong that they're going to recast Beats into some sort of high-quality solution that will be fairly inexpensive, less than Spotify, maybe $8 a month, and will have exclusives on some of the major artists. The record industry is apparently quite interested in what Apple's up to with Beats. They won't call it Beats, probably. That's the other surprise. How much did they pay for Beats? Billions. But they're not going to use the Beats name. They got the technology. I guess that's what they cared about. Plex. That'd be another way to do it if you had Plex. The problem is he has this fancy automation system on his PC. He'd just like the output of the PC to be played downstairs. Any solutions, go to the website, techguylabs.com. That's free. It's open. You don't have to sign up. We divide the site into every day, every show, every hour, every question. You can go in there, comment on this question, last question of hour number 2, and add your thoughts. That would be, I'm sure, a big help for Rick. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So that was a little off, but not much. Yeah, if you had,
I've told you before how much I love.
So if you have Plex, but you'd use Plex as the media player, but if you had Plex on your computer, then you have all sorts of ways of playing it downstairs, including a Roku, many of the Android TV devices. There's tons of. Hey, baby.
Hi.
My lovely bride. What?
You don't stop talking.
Well, I'm distracted by your presence.
Hey, sweetie. Do you want something for lunch?
I do. I'm so hungry.
What would you like?
Chris came in, but I wasn't really ready. Yeah, yeah, that'd be good. Sushi. Are you thinking of going over there?
I can have them
Send somebody over there?
Yeah.
I'd love some dragon roll.
Dragon roll?
Maybe a little bit of, spicy tuna.
Spicy tuna?
Are you going to have some?
I'm going to go to Heroes.
Yeah. Well, you like the dragon roll. That's the soft shell crab stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So get a dragon roll. I'll have a piece of that, and then spicy tuna for me. Thank you.
Spicy tuna and dragon roll?
That's 2 different rolls, yeah. Spicy tuna for me, and then if you have a dragon roll, I'll take a piece.
Wait, yeah. I'll just get you spicy tuna and the dragon.
Well, that's too much for me. I only want 1 piece.
I wanted the chicken drumsticks.
Oh, you want the, yeah.
And I was going to have that and some greens because, after
Okay.
we've eaten these last
Just a
days,
spicy, yeah, you know what? A spicy tuna is fine.
Okay.
I shouldn't. We've overeaten. Airfoil. But airfoil for Windows. Oh, there is a good solution. I didn't know they made airfoil for Windows. That's a good solution. From Rogue Amoeba, which is a crazy name. So this sends audio from any PC to your Airport Express, Apple TV, iPhone, iPod Touch, even other PCs and Mac in sync. There is a great solution. Let's add that to the show notes. Thank you. Very good suggestion. Very good suggestion. Web 0597, that's for Rick. And you can try it for free, which is good. Before purchase, noise is overlaid on all transmissions longer than 10 minutes. But it's only $29. So try it for 10 minutes, and if it works, then spend $29. That's a good solution. And I think that would run... That's a great solution. And that's Windows as well as iOS and Mac. They're basically, they're trying to do in software what Sonos does. What's her name?
Patty Zirkle.
Patty Zirkle's watching here now?
Yes.
Oh my God, if I had only known.
She's watching it on my big screen TV in the living room.
Oh, well, come over here.
Okay.
Say hi to her. You got a minute?
I normally watch it except with my AirPlay.
On the big screen?
Yeah, a word comes, we lose audio every once in a while, so I've had to simulcast on my iPhone to the audio version so I can hear it.
Hello. That's so funny. Hey, Patty Zirkle. Hey. Now it's not so boring, is it? Suddenly got very interesting.
I've been watching since the first day.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, get out of here because I got 30 seconds. That's all you get. Well, that's because it's the first day on KFI?
No.
First day of TWiT.
Yeah, back at the cottage.
10-year anniversary is next week or next month. Are you going to come by? Great. I'm excited about my new book. This is fascinating.
Because I wanted to see Patrick and Kevin.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
A screensaver's guy.
It's going to be, I bet will be a lot of people because people want to see everybody together. Yeah.
I made sure to put my...
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. Well, hey, I'm sorry. I'm having a conversation off camera here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. We're talking high tech, everything you want to talk, anything on your mind. Problems, solutions, questions. I love the challenge, and I'll be honest, I don't know the answer a lot of times, but we have a great chat room, we have a great community, and I think probably there's nothing you could ask that we wouldn't eventually figure out with the help of everybody involved here. If you want to join us in the chat room, or you want answers to questions you've heard, or you want to add something, because that's another way you can be a very valuable part of the community. The website is techguylabs.com, and of course, there's no barrier, you don't have to sign up. I don't want your email address. You don't have to pay. It's all free. TechGuyLabs.com. We're all in this together. We're kind of pitching in. Because, let's face it, this stuff isn't that easy. And the computer industry has not, despite the promise 30 years ago, making something anybody could use, it's not quite that way yet. Knock on wood, it'll never get that way or I'm out of work. Back to the phones we go. It's Muris in Rialto, California. Hi, Muris.
Hello.
Welcome. How do you say your name? I think I'm saying it wrong.
It's Nuris.
Okay. Nuris, or with an N or with an M?
With an N as in Nick.
Nick Nuris. Hi, Nuris.
Hey.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, I had a question. My mom has an Alcatel phone, and apparently when I sent her a text, I wrote her something completely different, and what she got was something that says, can't talk later, and then I got the same message.
What?
Like, weird.
You didn't send can't talk later?
No. And
did you say anything that sends anything that looked like that at all? Was it autocorrect?
Nope. It was because I texted her even from my Mac. And
where did she get an Alcatel phone, first of all?
Well, she has it from T-Mobile because we all have a T-Mobile plan. I have an iPhone, of course.
She opted for the cheap solution.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I'm not going to mock her for that. I didn't even know you could buy Alcatel is the French telecom. I didn't even know they. Wow. I didn't even know they made phones. So
aside from that, she's getting contacts that weren't even in her phone, like from other people.
Yeah, there's something else going on. I don't think. Obviously, you didn't send that text message, and no computer would translate what you sent into that text message. So somebody else sent that. She's getting texts from somebody else.
Wow. That's crazy because you wouldn't think that could happen on a phone like that one. And
well, yeah, you could. So is this an Alcatel One Touch Fierce?
Yeah, that's what she has.
It's fierce. It's a looks like an Android device, so that's good. I mean, it's not a bad phone. It's an Android phone. It's an inexpensive Android phone. So the question is has she had this phone number for how long?
For quite a long time.
Oh, so it's not likely that somebody else has that number and is sending her text messages.
No, I mean, not really. Because, nobody's ever done that. Before I've sent her text and everything's very fine, and then...
Well, the first thing would be a call to T-Mobile, make sure that they aren't getting some wires crossed. It may be, and this happens, that a wrong number. You can get wrong numbers in texts just like you can get a wrong number in voice. Sorry, wrong number. So could be somebody's texting, thinking they're texting somebody, and it ends up being your mom. That happens to me from time to time. It's just a wrong number in text. I know, wow. What's weird is you got the same text sent to you?
Yeah, from her. And I said, okay, that's very awkward. I was like, wait a minute, I never even wrote.
Well, you don't have software running. There is software. Like I use a program called Agent that does that. It says, I'm in a show right now. I can't answer the phone, but I'll text you later. It might be an automatic text message being sent by software like that. It might be a wrong number. It's a little weird that you got it too, unless your mom kind of accidentally resent it back to you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's related to the phone. It could be a T-Mobile issue. If it keeps, is it happening a lot or just happened once?
It's happened a few times. Like
I think somebody's got the wrong number.
Like she'll read the message and it'll still show like if it's a new message.
Does it say it's coming from you?
Yeah, sometimes it does. I'm like, okay.
That's really weird. Yeah, I think she needs to call T-Mobile. It may be that they have some wires crossed somehow.
Yeah, I'll notify them of that one.
Yeah, I would just ask them. And of course, Mom doesn't. She's probably not super techie, so she's calling.
No, I'm usually the tech around the house.
She says, "Nurse, what's going on? I don't understand. Help me."
Yeah, usually that's how it happens with anything, computers, anything that I have to help with.
I would bet this is just it's a glitch, not something to worry about. And occasionally, and I should warn both of you about this, and I get this too, especially for some reason on T-Mobile. I have phones with every carrier, but on my T-Mobile phone, I often get spam. Text me back, for a special offer or want to go on a cruise. You're a winner. Literally, spam. Never, ever respond, or, and in most cases, there'll be a link to click. Do not click that link because it may merely be spam, just somebody trying to get you to sign up for something, but it could also be malware. It could be a bad guy sending you a link that is designed to attack you, to get on your phone, put some malware on your phone. So be very careful. If you get text messages from people you don't know, do not, just ignore them, dump them. You said you can't delete it. That worries me a little bit. That's a little strange. I'd go, this is one for T-Mobile. It's their network. They need to, and it's their phone. They need to fix this. I'm not sure what's going on exactly. But as you can tell, it ain't right, nurse. Go to, you know what works really well, I found? I don't know if there's a T-Mobile store anywhere near you, but if you could find one that's company-owned, those people tend to be, when you get a face-to-face, even with some of the company as low and horrible as Comcast, when you go into the store, yeah, I'm talking about you, Comcast. When you go in the store, the people are very nice because it's face-to-face. It's really hard to be a jerk face-to-face. So whereas you might call a service representative and not get the best service because they're far away, they don't know you, you don't know that. When you're face-to-face, so bring it in if you can find a T-Mobile store. Bring it in there. Be nice. Bake them a cake. Bring them a cake, box of candy. It doesn't matter. Anything. Just be nice. Say, hi, this is weird. What do you think? And often you'll find if the people aren't jammed, if there's not 100 people out the door, which there frankly usually isn't at a T-Mobile store, they often will spend some time with you and fix it. I've found them to be very helpful and very nice when you go in. Even Comcast. Hard to believe, but because I think it's the face-to-face thing. I think it's hard for somebody to be a jerky jerk when you're right there and you're saying, and you're smiling. Don't be jerky jerk to them. It's tempting. I hate you. I hate you. I don't want to be here. No, don't start that way. Say, hi, how are you? Have a lifesaver. Want a stick of gum? You look really nice today. So I'm having this problem. Maybe you can help. And they, invariably, they're much nicer. It's very odd. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I bet you T-Mobile can help. And if not, well, then you've eliminated that, and now you can call the NSA. They don't have a store in your town, I don't think. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go to the UK. Les has been hanging on the line for a long time. I see you, Les. We're going to talk about Touch ID, fingerprints for laptops, fingerprint readers. I'll talk a little bit about one of the surprising cons of a fingerprint reader when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Bullhead City.
Yeah, it's the second hottest place in the United States.
Hotter than Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
Phoenix is already too hot.
Valley and Phoenix.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, we get 135.
It was hot in Vegas and this weekend. It was like I didn't want to go outside.
It's only an hour from Bullhead.
It's the desert, baby.
And it's on the Colorado River, though, so when it gets too hot...
Oh, that's good. Just jump in the river. That's all right.
And it's always...
Cold's not good either. That's why we live in Petaluma. It's very temperate here. Neither too hot nor too cold. You're in Atlanta. Oh, yeah, hot Atlanta. Hot Atlanta with its muggy but you don't mind, huh?
No, it's not bad. It changes often.
That's the thing. You don't want it to stay anything. If it's hot for one day, anybody could take that.
About the drought here. We had a drought for 2 years, and then we had floods for a year.
Yeah. Mother Nature. Bullhead, somebody in the chat room says, the hottest place on earth.
And miserable. It's very miserable.
It's hot and miserable.
Yeah.
What's the main industry in Bullhead?
Well, it's right across the river from Laughlin, Nevada. So.
Oh, Laughlin, I know. Yeah. So, and what did you do? And why were you? What caused you to be in Bullhead?
My dad moved up there and became a surveyor. Was a surveyor up there.
Oh, you're a surveyor. That's right. Yeah. So you're following your father's footsteps.
And
that's
I just
neat.
got a job here in Sunnyvale.
Oh, that's neat.
The company that's doing the staking for the Apple building, we're working for
fun.
That company.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's like the giant circle. And the layout of it, like all the grid lines are like a giant arc circle. It's pretty crazy.
Wow.
When they send us pictures every day, an aerial company that Apple, I guess, hired or somebody hired, they send us a new aerial picture every day of what it looks like. They use...
Why?
Nobody knows. Every contractor's on the list, and we all...
Here's a picture from the sky.
I guess you can see what's going on.
Yeah, you can see your progress.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And you know that apartment... I don't know if you talked about it, but there's that apartment complex that Apple could not buy that's right next door.
Those poor people.
Well, the owner of that is going to tear down that apartment complex and build other apartments so that he can rent them to Apple.
Oh, well, that's smart.
Yeah, and they're saying like...
Build luxury apartments so the Apple executives can come across. Yeah. I think that's brilliant.
It is.
That's probably why he held on to it, right?
But Apple offered him 4 times what it was worth, and he still backed away.
Yeah, because it's worth more than that.
Yeah.
Good for him. Yeah. I think just on principle. You shouldn't let Apple have everything. Just on principle. No. We're waiting to hear from Roger if he'll be there. He's got a baby, Roger Chang. But everybody else is going to be there. Everybody else.
I was going to bring the book that you wrote.
Oh, I could sign it for you.
Well, and then I wanted all the rest of them to sign it too.
Oh, we'll bring it on the 19th. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Les is hanging on from Devon in the UK. And I saw you in the chat room. Hi, Les.
Hi, Leo. Nice to speak to you.
Great to talk to you. Thank you for calling. First time?
It is definitely, yeah, but I've been an avid listener for you for 2 years now for the iPods on my phone.
That's wonderful. Well, thanks to the internet.
It is definitely. Just one thing was before I go on to my question was I think the UK is very lucky with their internet because we don't have the problem that you have. We have such a very varied competition here, and there's not a lot we can't have. Even on our mobile phones, we have 4G in most cities now, and 2G is no good. You know, everyone's on 3G now, and so there's never a problem with internet. Cafes have internet, everything. It's just...
Competition's the key. It really is. If you can get a variety of internet service providers, you don't have to worry about net neutrality because, somebody starts clamping down, somebody else will say, well, you come over here, come to this side. We got a free and open internet over here.
That's right, and a lot of it is free now. I think British Telecom still own the lines, and you pay like £17 for the line.
I wish we'd done that here where the infrastructure were owned by local governments and then leased out to internet service providers. That would have been the best way to do it. But, of course, hindsight is 2020, and we're stuck with what we've got. And the problem is we have, in most places in the United States, at best, 2 choices, your phone company or your cable company. And they're both highly monopolistic, unfortunately.
Well, we're quite lucky because we've got the phone company and the TV company together.
Now, is Callard and Bowser in Devon?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, somebody in the chat room is saying, but they are saying the best custard comes from Devon.
Oh, yeah, ambrosia. Devon knows how they make it so creamy.
That sounds like an inside joke in Devon. What can I do for you?
I was really disappointed with the Apple keynote because there was a rumor that they were going to bring out Touch ID on a mouse, because I think the one thing I love so much is Touch ID that I don't even know my passwords anymore. I have one password.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great?
Apple with Keychain, they actually provide me the password. I just see what they said, and I click the button, and on my iPhone and on my Mac Mini, all I got to do is type in one password or press one button, and I'm in.
I just love it. So we're talking about on iPhones and now iPads, they have where the home button is also a fingerprint reader, and you only need put your finger on it. You don't need to press, and it's very accurate. Very quickly determines who you are. And really, so much of what we do in the modern world relies on this authentication, accurately identifying you. You know, the idea of passwords is new. I mean, 100 years ago, nobody had a password. Maybe you had the password to get into the, the speakeasy. But but there were no this whole idea of we're not built this way to have dozens of passwords in our brain. And so this is all new, and it's all about authentication, about saying, somehow proving that you are who you say you are. And the fingerprint reader is a boon, and Apple's implemented it so well. Samsung has tried with the Galaxy S5 and the Note 4, but theirs requires a swipe. It's not as accurate. Supposedly, the Galaxy S6, which we'll see in a few weeks, has a similar just rest your finger on it fingerprint reader. That would be good news. It would mean, for one thing, that Apple doesn't own the technology. Remember, Apple bought a company called Authentic, and we've thought for a long time that when they bought the company, they got the patents for Touch ID that works so very well, and that it might keep other companies from doing it. And this is our hope. This is your hope, Les, because you can't promise. Apple does what it does. And if it doesn't see a market for a fingerprint reader on a mouse, it's not going to do a fingerprint reader on a mouse, even if you and I and everybody else think it's a great idea. But and this is where competition again, right? If Samsung is indeed able to make a similarly accurate, reliable fingerprint reader without infringing on Apple patents, that's really good news. That means that somebody will be able to make a mouse. And if anybody, Samsung is notorious for trying everything. They're the opposite of Apple, right? Apple says, we're going to just do one or two things perfectly. Samsung says, whatever you want, we'll make it. Anything you want. What do you want? And so I think that could be very good news. I'll watch with interest, and you should too, what happens with the Galaxy S6 is if that's a good fingerprint reader, if it works reliably, and then I think you could count on Samsung to put that everywhere, including desktops. I agree.
Is there a way, though, of using your phone at the moment, your iPhone, to link to your Mac Mini? So
absolutely.
Go straight in.
Yes, there are a number of applications in the App Store that will do this. Some do it by proximity, which might even be better. You've logged into your phone already, so your phone does know who you are. So some are using the Bluetooth LE to unlock your Mac. And then I have seen a number of Mac unlockers that use the fingerprint reader. So you're absolutely right. You don't have to do it on a separate device. There's the Knock app, which I've had mixed results with. That will automatically unlock your Mac when you get close with an iPhone or an iPad. But let me see what some of the other names are for these, because there's a few of these that use fingerprint to unlock your Mac, and I'm just trying to remember the names. I've tried a couple of them.
It's just for security, really, because I do a lot of charity work and I have some confidential information on my computer. So I always make sure that I have to log in my computer. Then I'll go away from my computer for
That's great.
10 minutes.
You know who does that? Google does it on the Chromebook with Android 5.0. As you get, and so in a way, you don't really need the fingerprint because you have the phone. So even with that, but having a fingerprint would add an additional layer of protection that would be marvelous. Somebody's telling me there's something called Mac ID that will do this. I have seen at least two, in addition to Knock. MacID.co. Unlock your Mac with just your fingerprint. Haven't tried it, but boy, what a great idea, isn't it? Yeah, I love this. Now, you'd have to obviously put it on both some software on your Macintosh, the Mac ID software on your Macintosh, and then have the Mac ID app on your iOS device. It will allow you to establish a connection with a variety of different Macs. And then when you get up to it, you can unlock. It also allows you to set an auto lock, so as you walk away from the Mac, it'll lock up, which would be perfect for a public computer like yours. What a great idea. So let's see.
They just missed a trick, didn't they? In the keynote, I just thought, when I saw the map that coming up, I was looking for the button.
Yeah, but remember how Apple works. Apple could do many things. For instance, the NFC. They finally put an NFC in the iPhone, but it only works with the Passbook, the Apple Wallet. It doesn't work with anything else. No. They will eventually. They just move slowly, and they can. But I agree with you. I often look and say, "Hey, Apple, put apps on Apple TV. Hey, Apple, let me use the NFC for something else besides Passbook. Hey, Apple, put a fingerprint reader on the mouse." Will they do it? Well, only when they get around to it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to get this app. Mac ID looks great. Problem is, I don't use an iPhone all the time. So, all right, and now a dramatic reading from Learning GNU Emacs. Using buffers, windows, and frames. You shouldn't. A text editor shouldn't really need a 500-page book. But on the other hand, if it does, you got to think, wow, there's some power in here. This thing must be good. What have I done? I hear nothing. What did I do? Pushed a button. Yeah, Mike B, I know. But I want to learn, I really want to learn Emacs. I feel that I should. I can't be the tech guy unless I have Emacs in my blood. Did you see the New Yorker magazine has a long profile on Richard Stallman of GNU, the GNU guy. Well, because I'm into Lisp, I want to use Emacs because it's also, you can use it for Lisp. And I want to also, on my Chromebook, be able to this is stupid. I get embarrassed even to admit it. I want to SSH into a server and then use Emacs to write software in Lisp. Why is a good question, Paula Dean. Why? Well, welcome, sir. Another person has arrived. And you are... Alan is a land surveyor. Weston left. So did Steve. You're Tom. I don't have a card. What's your name? I'm Steve. You are Steve. I'm another Steve. Oh, you're not Steve McElderly? That can't be his name. He was here earlier. Yeah. No, it's McElderry. But it kind of looks like McElderly. Okay. So another Steve. Where are you from, Steve? Southern California. Great. Welcome. Orange County. Orange County. And you're on vacation, or?
No, I came up to the Bay Area for a model railroad operating weekend.
A what kind of operating?
Model railroad.
Oh, you're a railroader. Cool. So's Dick DiBartolo. He's crazy about these things. What kind do you operate?
I'm a HO.
HO. I like the I like the little ones, but he does the big ones. Like the Lionel size. And then I have a friend who actually has a full-size steam engine in his yard. He's got a track and everything.
I have a couple of friends as well.
That's crazy. Stick with the HO, I think. It should be small. I love HO. They're so beautiful and small and, gorgeous. Yeah, I'm jealous. My friend Hank Greenwald, who used to do the San Francisco Giants play-by-play, had an incredible, and when it was up in the ceiling, he pressed a button and it would go, because I think his wife didn't like it. So he pressed it would come down, and then he could play with his trains, and then it would disappear again. That's the way to do it.
I'll look for people that don't have the space to put up a real railroad.
Right. So Dr. Mom says Z-gauge is even smaller than HO, huh?
Oh, yes.
Those are really tiny.
N is smaller, it's half the size. Z is half the size again.
It's a quarter the size of HO? Probably more expensive, though, right? This is not a place where you save money.
It can be more delicate, and it's really tough to rail the cars.
Oh, yeah. You got to go, you need tweezers. You need tweezers to put the cars on the tracks. Dick has bigger than Lionel, doesn't he? He's likes the big ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's a collector, too.
He's quite a buff. Thank you, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. I mentioned that we had talked to the author of a book called Future Crimes. Really enjoyed talking to him. Former name is Mark Goodman. He's a former LAPD officer who got kind of roped into computer forensics early on. Later went on to work for Interpol and the FBI. And the book is a good look at where we stand right now in global security, which is not great, and what we can do about it. But one of the reasons I want to recommend the book and really recommend the website, futurecrimes.com, is there is a really good section in the book, which he duplicates on the website. It's an infographic. He calls it the update protocol. And I think, this echoes things I've said for a long time on the show, but this is all in one place, which is really great. The things that you we as end users should do to protect ourselves online. It's not complicated. It's easy to remember. It's UPDATE. And if everybody did this, not only would you be safer as an individual, but the internet itself would be safer. It's kind of a public health issue. If you don't, keep the bad stuff off your system, you're doing not only a disservice to yourself, but to the internet as a whole, because your system becomes a vector for other systems. So the U in update is obvious. Update frequently, not just your operating system, and that's become easier and easier. All operating systems now have kind of automated updates. Turn those on, use them, but also anything that goes online. A browser, Flash, Acrobat Reader. You want to make sure those are kept up to date. Turn on automatic updates if they have them. Your mobile phone, keep that up to date. He also talks, the P in update is passwords. And we mentioned this earlier on. Don't use the same password across multiple sites, because if one site gets hacked, they've got access to all the others. We recommend LastPass, but he says any password management program like OnePass, LastPass, KeePass, Dashlane, RoboForm, they're all good. What they do is they generate strong passwords, random long strings of characters that you'd never remember. But they remember them for you. All you have to remember is one password that gets you into the password vault. And that is, I think, huge. Maybe a little bit of trouble to set up. LastPass is $1 a month, $12 a year, so it's not free. But boy, it makes me feel happy, because I know I'm really much safer because I use those strong passwords. He also says turn on two-factor authentication. We've talked about that. That's an extra step that makes a huge difference. Gives me a lot of peace of mind. Companies like Google and Apple and Facebook all support it. PayPal supports it. Your bank probably supports it. That's the case of where you log in, you have your username and your password, but then it says, okay, now I want to send you a text message with a special code. And that second factor of authentication is so valuable, because the bad guy may have guessed or stolen your password, but it's unlikely they also have your phone. And second factor authentication can make such a huge difference. I use it especially on banks, and I wish Amazon supported it. I wish some of the e-commerce systems I use supported it. But where you can, I'd use it. The D in update is download, and we've talked about this too. Only get software from people you know and trust. Be highly skeptical of third-party sites offering free software. That's where you get in trouble. A bad guy, to get on your system, generally has to run software in your system. He has to trick you into doing it, coerce you into doing it, or sneak onto your system. And you can make it a lot easier for him if you go to hacker.com and download something. Even if it says this is anti-malware, it isn't. It is malware. We have talked before about using an administrator account. That's the A in update. And I also agree with this. It's if you're running as an administrator, it's dangerous because the bad guy gets the same access you get. If you can, run as a limited user or a standard user, and then when you need more privileges, use the administration password. Windows and Mac both make that fairly easy to do. No mobile device allows you to run as an administrator without some voodoo. You can root your Android device, but unless you do, you're not running as administrator. And that's one of the reasons mobile platforms tend to be a lot safer. He has one that I'm a little skeptical of. The TN update is turn off your computer when you're not using it, or turn off your Wi-Fi or your internet access. It couldn't hurt, but I'm not sure it's of a lot of value. He says, well, if it's not on, it's not attackable. That's true. That's true. So, yeah, I guess disconnect from the internet when you're not using it isn't a bad idea. Encrypt, also difficult, but I think useful. Both Windows and Mac offer disk encryption. You can turn it on easily, and it will protect your system. He says use a virtual private network when you're on public Wi-Fi. These are harder things to do, but they sure make a difference. So update, I think it's a very good acronym to remember, UPDATE. And it is true, you do these things, you're so much safer. But not only for yourself, but also you're making the internet a safer place for everybody else. Because it's just like public health, you know. You don't want to be, you know, a carrier. You don't want to be a vector for infection. And if you are hacked, you do become a vector for infection. You do spread the infection. So nice job, Mark. Mark Goodman and the book Future Crimes. I think well written, fascinating. I'm not sure I'd recommend it to everybody because it could scare you. It can really scare you. But the truth is, yeah, it's scary out there. But if you do these things, if you practice safe computing, you're fine. There's no reason. The net is so valuable. I don't want you to get off the internet. I just want you to be sensible when you're using it. It's like putting on a seatbelt. Charles in Huntington Beach, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Charles.
Hi, how you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm at Huntington Beach enjoying the weather. So,
nice.
I got a question about color calibration.
Oh, good.
I have a Asus N550JK DS71T laptop with Windows 8.1 and an i7 in it.
Okay.
The confusion in my mind comes to color calibration, where there seems to be three utilities offered on the computer: Windows Display, Intel R calibration, and NVIDIA 850M. Now, do all three of those come into play when you're, say, wanting to calibrate watching Netflix or something of that nature?
Basically, all three of them do the same thing. The idea, calibration, and you know this, but I'll explain. The idea of calibration is that you want the colors on your screen to match the colors intended by the filmmaker, the video maker, the photographer. And you'll be amazed at how widely these can vary. But in general, the Windows, you know, Apple really kind of pioneered this, but Microsoft followed very quickly. And this has been 10 years now, where they have in your display driver a profile for the monitor you're using. If you're using the color profile for the monitor, and it's a decent monitor, that's enough. So in other words, Windows automatically adjusts the colors based on what it knows about your monitor. If you're a photographer, or you know or maybe you're printing a catalog, and the color is absolutely critical, you can make your own color profile. So that's the software is just choosing which profile to use and just applying it, kind of as a general profile for all monitors of this model. But photographers might want to take another step and use a color calibrator and make their own profiles. Unless you're talking about that, nothing to worry about. Just make sure the right monitor is selected in your display settings and you've got the best settings. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. They gave me a fork. You can't eat sushi with a fork. If you haven't entered Carbonite's... I'll save the sushi for later. Did I give you the wrong URL? I think I did. And I'm sorry, Mark. I was giving Mark Goodman the nicest plug, but I said the name of the book wrong. It is futurecrimes.com. True Crimes is, I don't know what that is. Futurecrimes.com. I apologize. Let me get that right. And if you go to futurecrimes.com and click tips, you'll see the update protocol. But we'll put that in the show notes. We always do. And my show notes guys get stuff right. I may get it wrong, but they'll get it right. Futurecrimes.com. And a great book by Mark Goodman. Moving on to Jan in Placerville. Hi, Jan.
Good afternoon. How are you, Leo?
I'm well. Welcome to the show.
I'm the old guy that used to work on NCR 315s, if you remember that.
The National Cash Register Company.
Yep.
They made computers, too.
Talking about future crimes, I got a current one underway.
Uh-oh.
Very good friend of mine's been a professional model for a good 25 years. And on her birthday, 400 images showed up spread all over the net.
Yeah, this is a real issue for models especially. They sign releases as they do these pictures, and the photographer often will...
She has never signed a release. They are totally unreleased. They were all done with private stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So it's become an issue. The state of California and other states have now passed laws against something they call revenge porn, where boyfriends, exes release pictures, sometimes naked pictures of their exes. And there are sites that, fortunately now, are getting prosecuted. The biggest purveyor of this, what a business he had. He would solicit pictures from ex-boyfriends and husbands, post them online. Before he did, he would contact the victim and say, hey, if you pay me $300, I won't post these.
Yeah, I've heard about him.
Extortion as well. Let's just throw it. Yep. He got the book thrown at him. Well, you know what? He didn't. He's not in jail. He should be in jail. He got fined and shut down. At least we got that far. This is horrible, but it is criminal. It is illegal, but it's very difficult to prosecute due to the nature of the internet.
Well, here's my question. It went up on about 20 different sites. I've had them remove pictures from all but 3.
Great.
And I finally wiggled my way in through help and abuse and all that stuff.
Yeah, most reliable places, even places that are a little sketch, you contact them, they'll take it down. The word's gone out. This is not the business you want to be in.
Right. Well, the remaining 3, I can't seem to get through to them and have them pull them.
They may not even be in the U.S., and that's where it gets difficult.
I think they're in Australia or New Zealand.
Where you get in trouble because it's hard to prosecute across international borders.
That's true.
And they frankly just they can't ignore you. Now, I think in time, more and more, this is going to, the world is turning its back on this kind of crime, and it really is horrific. People's lives are ruined. I wish, only 16 states currently have anti-revenge porn laws, but I suspect by the end of the year there'll be more of them, maybe even a federal law. But it's just very difficult right now. I mean, all you can do is hope for the goodwill of the person who runs the site and say, please take them down. And if they don't, especially if they're not in the U.S., it becomes very difficult to force them.
Right. Well, most of the sites have been real good about pulling them down.
Yeah, because you know what? They're starting to get the message.
Yeah, and we got one guy keep putting them back up. I take them down there up the next day.
Yeah,
anyway.
You can also go up the chain. Somebody in the chat room suggesting, Jowl in the chat room, and I think it's right. The next step up is to go to their domain registrar or their hosting company, both of whom, sometimes they're more responsive, sometimes not.
Yeah, I've done that because I've got a program that pulls out their IP address and who.
Good. So you're smart enough to do a who is and say, where did this guy come from? And so that's another place to go. If you don't, the truth is the way the internet is structured, people can put all sorts of horrific stuff up. There's horrific stuff about me. Everybody. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it. In some cases, free speech laws protect them. The good news is the tide is turning against revenge porn. That's not free speech. It's been clearly categorized as illegal in many states, and I think more will come. But then, even if you can get a law passed against it, and if it's not protected by the First Amendment, then you rely upon the kindness of strangers. You've got to go to the website operator. If he won't pull it down, then you go to – one of the reasons he pulls it down is because you can threaten, I'll go to your host if he doesn't do it.
Sure.
And the host doesn't – many hosts don't want to be in that position. Some do, though. Remember, there's people who offer hosting specifically for this purpose.
Sure. Okay. I just wanted to ask.
I wish there was something we could do about it. It's getting better for revenge porn, but there's still plenty of horrific stuff people could post. People can lie like crazy about you.
No, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do that. And they can put it on the internet, and if they put it outside the country, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to, and frankly, we got to be careful because this is what they did in Europe, the right to be forgotten, which allows people in Europe to go to petition Google and say, I want search results taken down. Because remember, you can have a site, but if somebody can't find it, but Google doesn't want to get in that business because then you have to adjudicate, well, should this be taken down? Is it legitimate? And they don't want to get in that business.
Yeah, it dries up pretty quick.
Yeah. So I am so sorry for your friend.
She's good looking, though.
I have a number of colleagues. They're all women. I don't know why this doesn't happen to the guys so much. They're all women, but I have a number of colleagues for whom this has happened. And it's horrible. You cannot imagine how horrible it is for them.
Yep. So this was done 25 years ago, and she was basically really dumb and young.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, sometimes if there's a release, you can go after them in court. But if there's not a release, if she just posed, and a boyfriend took the pictures, and that's what happens. And right. I have two colleagues who this has happened to, and it's terrible. And it's just very hard to get rid of it. In both cases, they just decided to, brush it off and move on. And it does go away after a while. That's the only good thing. And people aren't going to find it, or you hope people don't find it. And if they do,
it's under her real name, which wasn't a bright.
I know. Well, we're all naked under our clothes, and all you can do is just kind of say, hey, yeah, there I am in my birthday suit. So what? So what?
We've got it narrowed down to 3 guys that are repeat offenders.
They're jerks. And you know why they do it? They make money on it. I
don't think so. This was a big exchange club, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of people in on it.
Yeah, that's another thing. And, this is even sites where, like 4chan and Reddit, where this kind of stuff happens a lot. Reddit, which is owned by Condé Nast and is has to be responsible, has started to say that we will not post these pictures unless they're of you. And you have full rights to them. And so they're really trying to shut this down. The guy who started 4chan, Moot, is quitting because he can't take it. Responsible, intelligent men don't support or allow this. They don't look at those pictures. But think about all the celebrities whose pictures were released, last year.
Sure.
There's not much they can do about it except to just brush it off and say, well, there you are. You see me in my birthday suit. So what?
Yeah, that's it.
You're naked under your clothes too, dude. And guys, don't participate in this. Don't support it. It is not a victimless crime. It's terrible. Hey, you have my sympathy, Jan, and thanks for helping her. That's great.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you've done a lot. You've actually had a lot of success. That's pretty good.
I'm still working on it.
There's millions of eyeballs who have been not seen it. Hey, last call of the day, Lucy in Torrance, California. Hi, Lucy. I got 1 minute for you. What can I do for you?
I think I have a problem with Chrome. I've tried to uninstall it. I've got an 18-month-old Dell desktop with the works inside the screen rather than a tower. And you know how Windows 8 has a green background? And I used to get that. And then all of a sudden, Chrome has taken over the screen, and it's black, and I can't access the taskbar at the bottom except for Google features. I have trouble getting it powered down without me doing it manually.
So this, I should say, is not normal behavior for Chrome, and Google doesn't want this to happen, but something has gone wrong. I'll tell you what, since we're almost out of time, I'm going to keep you on hold. Just hang on, and I'll talk to you off the air if that's okay.
Super, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll give you some help, but I don't want to give you short shrift, and we only have 30 seconds left in the show. Hey, thanks so much, Nathan Staten, our musical director, as always. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger, who answers the calls with aplomb, and if she doesn't hit you with the aplomb, then you're okay. Thanks to all of you for being here. We'll be back next week to talk all about high tech, as we are each and every week. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, have a great geek week. See ya. All right. I'm sorry, Lucy. I had to do all of that stuff.
No problem, Leo. Listen, I would have to tell you, I've been with you since day one in KFI days, and you are terrific. What a public service you do for us people that are not totally geekified.
Well, thank you. I love doing it. I'm very lucky to be able to do it. And I kind of feel for everybody because, gosh, I know how many problems I have, and I know what I'm doing. If you're not, if you're not a geek, it's like crazy. I don't know.
And we have more and more devices every day to get confounded by.
And the expectation is, oh, you can figure that out, can't you? It's
right.
No. So what? So now let me think. Let me see what's happened here.
You know, in terms of what you're doing, as long as you love it, I hope you continue to do it because you really do help a lot of us.
Aren't you great? Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it. So what? Tell me. So you're running Windows. You're running Windows 8. Is that right?
Yeah. And this is weird, Leo, because there's a few things going on with the computer, and I don't know whether it's Chrome at the base of it or if it's Chrome plus other things. But I even tried to uninstall Chrome, and I can't. It keeps giving me a message that says you cannot run other Windows programs before uninstalling this, and I'm not running a darn thing. Doesn't matter why or how come, I'm not running anything. Every window is closed, and when I go into the control panel, I can't uninstall it because that stupid message keeps coming up. And what's really bad about the Chrome black screen is that's not the only thing. I get every other day or so a message, a big block message that says, Google cannot sync your information. Please update your passcode. And I've never, ever put in a passcode. I haven't a clue what they're talking about, and I couldn't begin to do it if I wanted to. So all of this is going on, and...
All right, so let's.
Everybody says don't, uninstall it, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, let's figure out what's going on here. First of all, is the Chrome full screen? It's taken over the full screen.
Full screen, black.
All right, so it's gone into something called Metro mode. So there should be a little menu icon. It's just 4 lines, little lines. If you click on that, it'll slide open, and you can exit out of it.
Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Typically, there's 4 lines.
Yeah, they call it the hamburger menu. I don't know why. Yeah.
I usually, you know what? I don't see it when it's on that black screen, and all it does is it overtakes my regular taskbar at the bottom, and only the Google icons appear.
Yeah, that's because it's gone full screen. I think it's misguided of Microsoft, but if for a tablet, that's what you want, but on a desktop, it's like very confusing. Mm-hmm. But I suspect there's other things going on here, but that would be the first thing to do is see if we can close it from that full screen mode.
Got it.
It sounds like, though, that there's something, it's infected or your system is infected. There's something going on. Remember, your browser is your window to the world. If something gets on your system, the way it gets in is through the browser. And often it modifies the browser. So I'm thinking that may be what's happened. This is certainly not normal behavior.
Now, Leo, based on one of your recommendations, I've been doing business with Antivirus from ESET for a while now. And God bless them, I've never had an issue with a virus, or they've had quarantined some things here and there. Wouldn't they have told me if there was something amiss with the browser?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay. Well, can I even uninstall Chrome?
Yeah. We're gonna figure out how to do that. Are you in front of it right now?
No, unfortunately, I'm at work.
So the first thing I want you to try is Control F. If you can't see the hamburger menu, Control F takes it out of full screen mode as well.
Okay.
Or F11 might do it as well. You want to get it out of full screen mode so that it's just a little window and you can see your desktop. At that point, you should be able to close it.
Sure.
Probably, I can help you get rid of Chrome, but I'm more worried that there's other stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get rid of Chrome, the easiest thing would be to reboot your computer. Can you do that with Chrome being as big as it is? You probably can't.
No.
Control F is not it. It's F11. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading the chat room. Everybody says F11.
F11 takes me out of the
takes you out of full screen mode, yeah.
Got it.
I don't have a Windows 8 machine in front of me to try it, but I'll take
I
their
don't
word
blame
for
you.
it.
I only have one because I had to have one.
I know.
Hate Windows.
So F11 is the full screen toggle. You might have to press a function. If it's a laptop, you might have to press a function key, F11. And then you can reboot the machine, and then while you're booting, tap the F8 key or hold the Shift key down. We're going to get into, what we want to do is get into the safe mode, safe boot.
Okay, got it.
Because once you're in safe boot, this shouldn't happen, and you should be able to easily uninstall Chrome at that point.
Okay.
So you go into the safe mode and then run programs and features, and it should be easier to uninstall it. All safe mode is a very simplified version of Windows without anything running in the background, the minimum drivers, everything. And if there is something blocking, see what's happening, I think, is you've got malware on your system, and it's keeping you from removing Chrome because it doesn't want you to. It wants to continue to use it. So that's what's running when you do the thing. It says you can't do this because that's what's running is malware, probably.
Yeah, it says there's a legitimate-looking Microsoft error that says that I can't uninstall until I close other Windows 8 programs, and there's nothing open. I guarantee
that's
it.
the malware blocking it. I
Okay.
think. And it is legitimate.
So, Leo, if I can uninstall Chrome, do I keep it off or do I try to put it back in?
Here's my concern. First of all, Chrome's fine. You shouldn't have any trouble with Chrome on Windows 8.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have either a browser hijacker, a toolbar that's launching, that's trying to... So
if it's launching, it's not launching visibly.
No, but it is doing something because it's making it go full screen.
Okay.
A lot of times malware is badly written.
Sure.
So it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It just screws you up.
So, Leo, with the antivirus that I have, what additional measures can I take to try to get rid of the malware?
Well, you have to be mostly, I don't know if you heard me do that update list of things to do.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
So it's at futurecrimes.com. Click the tips bar, and there's an infographic of the things. And nowhere in it is antivirus. And the reason is really it's how you behave. There's nothing. It's good to have an antivirus, but it's belt and suspenders. And you can override the antivirus. Otherwise, people would hate their antiviruses because they wouldn't be able to do anything. So you can still do stuff that will get you in trouble even if you have an antivirus. The theory, I guess, is the antivirus will notice it. But the first thing a bad guy does is either disable the antivirus or keep it from updating. You know, that's the first thing they go. They once they've got your system, they can do a lot of stuff to keep you from protecting yourself. So really, it's about keeping them from getting the system. So the first thing, let's make sure it's not Chrome just somehow got in a full screen mode and now it's stuck. Press F11 so you can see the window and close Chrome.
Got it.
And see if things now seem to work all right. It may just be that's a Windows 8 issue, the full screen thing.
Got it.
If you can close it, reboot it and see if everything starts to operate normally. If the minute you boot up, Chrome launches full screen again, there's something in your system going on there that is Chrome shouldn't launch automatically, and it shouldn't launch in full screen mode.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, well, it didn't happen like this from the beginning. This only started happening about a month ago.
Yeah, see, I'm a little worried that some malware got on the system, something.
And I usually, Leo, I'm so careful. I mean,
good.
I listen for a reason, so I never open attachments.
Well, it's rare. It's rare that our listeners get into trouble like this, so I believe you. And it could just be a malfunction of some strange kind.
If push comes to shove, is it something that I have to deal with Dell with, or?
No, Dell won't help you.
Yeah.
Huh?
Gotcha.
Reinstall Windows is what Dell will tell you. Actually, they'll say, okay, you made those boot disks, right? Now take them and reinstall Windows.
No, actually, Windows came with everything downloaded. In the old days, you had CDs, so you could reinstall. I don't have those.
Right.
So how do you even reinstall if you don't have those?
You're supposed to make them.
Oh, really? I told you I wasn't geekified enough.
No, I know. It's terrible. Look you know why they don't give you a Windows disk? Because Microsoft's worried you're going to steal it.
Oh, God.
Nobody cares about the end user. Everybody, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So I think Chrome is launching in full screen mode. That's the first thing we want to stop. F11 will do that. Right. There is a setting to make it launch that way every time. If you accidentally turned that on, then every time you launch Chrome, it's going to take over the system. That's what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Any modern, so-called modern UI program does that. So if you use those programs on the left side there, those big button programs, that's what's going to do. It's take over your screen.
Yeah, no, I don't do those.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So Chrome can do that. It can launch in full screen mode, or it can launch in a windowed mode. And there's a checkbox in the settings that tells it what to do. If that got checked, then every time you launch Chrome, it's going to take over.
Now, another question, Leo. What about that message that says that they can't sync? Google can't sync my info, and I need to enter a new passcode. What's that all about?
So the way that Chrome protects, so Chrome will sync passwords, bookmarks, and history.
Got it.
And it does that, and it's in a setting in the Chrome settings. It does that normally. It'll do that with your Google password. But if it does it with some other password, then it will look and say, oh, you know, because you log into Chrome, you log into Google when you start using Chrome, and then it says, yes, your passwords are logged, are safely stored on Google, and will sync here. But if you used a different password, or you changed your Google password, then Chrome would say, well, your password's different. You need to give. So did you change your Google password lately?
Not at all.
Okay. It may be somebody put it on there, or I don't know. I get that every time I install Chrome because I changed my Google password. It wants the previous password for syncing.
Sure, and I understand that. It's just that from the very beginning, I never did anything consciously or unconsciously.
Does anybody else use that computer?
No, it's just me. Just me.
I'm not sure why. I'm worried. I'm a little worried that something bad has happened. That would be another thing that would
compromise my system.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. If that has happened, there is a recovery menu in Windows 8. This is one thing Windows 8 does really well.
Okay, how do I get to that?
Well, first you got to get Chrome off the screen so you can get to the Windows menu. Have you tried pressing the Windows key to see what happens?
Yeah, and that's another thing that's really defective. The minute that I hit Windows to get back to the Windows screen, no matter how lightly I tap, the stupid audio navigator comes on, and I have to hear every blessed thing I'm doing.
That's not right.
Yes. And it's got, it outlines everything in that, dark blue.
Oh, your accessibility is turned on.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, how did this happen? I didn't do anything.
And nobody's touching your computer?
Nobody. I live by myself, and my chat is not that good, I promise.
I feel like that's a prank somebody could play on you, is turn on accessibility, and they've turned on the screen reader. Yeah. You can do it by accident if you hold down, I think if you hold down the shift key and it repeats 8 times, then it will say, you want to turn on sticky key? I mean, there's things that'll, I don't know, something's messed up. A recovery would be a very good thing to do.
How do I access it, Leo?
It's in what I would do is,
get rid of Chrome in the full
well, if you can get rid of Chrome, go to the Windows Start screen, the one with all the big buttons, and as soon as you could just start typing recovery, RECOV, and on the right it'll do a search, and you'll see Windows Recovery. Click that. It's a control panel, and you'll go in the control panel, and you'll have some options. And what you probably would want to do at this point is do a full system restore, full recovery. And what it does is there's a hidden partition on your hard drive that contains a Windows installer. It'll refresh the computer as if you just got it from Dell.
Now, do I have to get rid of everything that I have on there and put it on a thumb drive?
Yeah, you want to back up everything first.
Okay. Hey, Leo, I really, really appreciate you taking the time off the air. I really do.
Oh, I'm glad to do it.
I'm hopeful that one of these methods will get me out of this funk I'm in here.
If it doesn't, call me back while you're in front of your system.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Leo.
You're welcome, Lucy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the TWiT Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.